Chapter 10. My head is buzzing. A locomotive in the head. Old. Rusty. Working with difficulty. Dragging several carriages. The firebox is loaded with coal. Boiler at maximum pressure. The rocker mechanism moves with difficulty. The locomotive can't carry. What the hell is a steam locomotive doing in my head? And how to get it out of there? Opening my eyes. I understand that everything is not so simple. The left eye does not open. Only the right one. And only half. Feeling that my face was used as an anvil. About the body. And there's nothing more to say. My body hurts so much. As if it had been used as a gasket between the piles. And the pile driver's woman. What kind of ass have I been in? It seems like he woke up. Someone said. He opened his right eye slightly. Look. Yes. Came to his senses. A female voice answered. Strong. However. I thought. He'll sleep for at least another day. Olga Barkova loomed over me. She smiled tensely. What have you done to me? I asked with difficulty. You did this to yourself. Nikita. I could tell by the voice. What Andreyka Bakov says. Myself. I was as surprised as possible. I don't remember anything. I'll give you an injection now. And I'll unhook the IV. Olga said. Just be patient for a little while. It will hurt. It hurts a lot. But in about 5 minutes it will get easier. Ready. Ready. I muttered, it can't get any worse. I didn't feel the injection. Just some manipulations with the right hip. Ready. Olga said. Doesn't it burn? A little. I answered, feeling. As a slight burning sensation spreads down the leg. Even pleasant to some extent. Better than a dull ache. Which I feel with my whole body. I was wrong about the pleasant burning sensation. Spreading throughout the body. It began to get stronger. After half a minute it seemed to me that I was put into a boiling cauldron. And started cooking. The miracles lasted for about 3 minutes. Not for long. It feels like eternity. The pain subsided abruptly. And in its place came a pleasant lightness. Patient. However. Bakov said with surprise. Not like you. Olga answered. Do you remember? Were you screaming like crazy? I was cut. Bakov muttered discontentedly. 1 more minute. And I started looking around. I'm lying in a room with 1 window. Bed. And a nightstand. Walls. And the ceiling is white. The only clothes I have on are my underwear. Covered with a light white brown blanket. Olga Barkova is standing next to the bed. And Andreyka Bakov. And they look at me intently. Well. And you have a face. Sharapov. Bakov exclaimed. I sat up with difficulty. And muttered. This is confabulation. The Mandela effect. If in modern terms. Olga frowned. And she said. It seems. That the shaking is strong. I don't understand. What he says. Nikita. What are you talking about? Asked Bakov. Gleb Zaglov didn't say. Well. And you have a face. Sharapov. I answered, he said. Well. And you have a face. Volodya. Oh my face. It's scary to watch. Confabulation is a false mass memory. Is this clearer? The Mandela effect is the same. He died in 2013. But everyone counts. Which is much earlier. Long story. If you tell everything. Interesting. Olga was embarrassed. I take my words back. Tremors. Maybe. No. And if. And there is. That's easy. You are strong. Nikita. The first thing I looked at was my hands. The knuckles aren't just broken. They are destroyed. Feeling. That I broke concrete with my fists. The blood has long since dried. And turned into thick, dirty scabs. His arms were covered in bruises up to his shoulders. The shoulders are also bruised. And chest. And legs. I wouldn't be surprised if I find out that there are bruises on the butt too. Most bruises are unworthy to notice them. But there will be a dozen of them. That it's scary to watch. What am I? Fell off a cliff. Fell from a cliff into the lake. And then a whirlpool pulled me into the cave. And was dragged along an underground river for a couple of dozen kilometers. Then I was caught by cave eaters. And chewed for a long time. Then I was in the stomach of a hydrocarbon worm. My imagination is running wild. My joints ache. The spine refuses to bend. What's wrong with the face? I'm afraid to imagine. A mirror appeared in Bakov's hands. And he pointed it at me. Well. And you have a face. Sharapov. I muttered, completely forgetting about everything. And even more so about confabulation. And the Mandela effect. The left eye was the most damaged. And swollen to horror. What a pity. No dissection. Such a large bruise could have been avoided. The right eye can be considered relatively intact. The nose is the size of a solid potato. The lips are large. And dark blue. There is a deep scratch on the neck. Who did this to me? I asked quietly. Yes, many people. Bakov chuckled. Right away. And you can't tell. Long story. But interesting. Dryness. I muttered. And I'm hungry. We. At all. Where? In the village of Devoyka. Olga answered. At my place. This is one of the 3 chambers. I work part-time sometimes. I treat such people. How are you? Can you walk? The tea is getting cold. They gave me new clothes. Gray-colored tracksuit. Old clothes are thrown away. Because it turned into rags. I can walk. But swaying. And trying to hold on to something. Olga's house is big. The corridor is wide. And light. The kitchen is spacious. With luxurious furniture. A large window across the entire wall overlooks the Tikaya River. Beautiful view. You can't say anything. We are on the 2nd floor. You live well. Olya. I said and began to drink tea with difficulty. Teeth respond with pain to hot food. I've been here for a long time. If it's not a secret. Since yesterday. Bakov said. They found you in the morning. And they brought it. And when did I leave Pan's palace? The day before yesterday. Nikita. Smiling. Olga answered. I don't remember anything. Come on, tell us. What happened to me? Andreyka began his story. It was not possible to reconstruct the chain of events with complete accuracy. But most of them are known. To be honest. I didn't expect this from myself. Having left the palace of Pan that we had captured in a bad mood. Headed to the village of Sockenhausen. Kaylee was delighted to see me. Having calmed her down. And forcing them to stay at home. Moved towards the old counterintelligence officer Yegorov. And talked to him for almost an hour. I was able to remember all of this quite easily. The dialogue with the old man was tense. He eventually agreed to it. That I'm right. And did the right thing. After Egorov I came to Modest Karandashov. And met Elena Ravenko there. Smart woman. Judging by that. What I heard. She will now be in charge of the financial part of the 3 villages. Raise the economy. So to speak. After meeting each other, we decided to have a drink. I told everything. What was happening. There were no objections. Under the influence of alcohol, my tongue loosened. Everyone agreed with me again. Modest and I drank a fair amount. Around there, the memory came in fragments. Why did you go to the village of Raj? I don't know. Modest managed to take my car keys. And I lost access to the property. I had money. And quite a lot. It would be better if they didn't exist. Having persuaded one of the residents to take me to the village of Raj. An hour later I was in one of his pubs. There my memory completely went blank. According to eyewitnesses. Which are 2 fighters from Zubar's detachment. Remaining in the city. The situation turned out bad. I was drinking in a pub with 3 Americans. And 2 Kazakhs. The company is so-so. I should have understood that right away. How did this happen? They drank a lot. And that's it. That burns well. Local moonshine. There were few visitors. And that's good. I wasn't the one who started the fight. One of the Kazakhs had a disagreement with an American. And started fighting. I decided to separate them. But got the opposite effect. They beat me. And I hit him. I definitely knocked the Kazakhs down. Zubar's guys won't lie. Broke the table. And 2 chairs. But he left. Got punched in the face more than once. But he left. It was more difficult with the Americans. He knocked out 2 of them with a chair. The third one turned out to be healthy. And strong. And not so drunk. The battle was not for life. And to death. Got it to the point of no return. But emerged victorious from the fight. After that it was twisted. And had a conversation with the tavern owner. The damage was estimated at as much as 23,000 credits. Miraculously convinced. That I will give everything. I was released. Why is everyone so naive? After the incident in the pub, I drank with Zubar's guys in the building. Which they call a barracks. I was there until 2 in the morning. At first everything went peacefully. And then we decided to find out. Who's cooler? Divided into 2 groups. And they fought wall to wall. One of the fighters had his arm broken. And another one's nose. We decided to end it here. And moved towards the local head with the aim of establishing new rules in the city. There was a skirmish with gunfire. But no one died. And wasn't even wounded. A peace agreement was reached. Inspired by my own achievements. I and 9 of Zubar's fighters went to the village of Devoika. At that time, Zubar himself was traveling to the village of Raj in the company of Andrei Kabakov. And Maxim Efimenko. We missed each other. Because we took different roads. We wouldn't have missed each other. Everything could have been better. If in the village of Raj the overthrow of Pan's power was perceived relatively calmly. And all his accomplices were quickly sent into retirement. But in the village of Devoika everything was different. There were divided opinions. Pan's people were able to gather. And survive. They perceived our arrival as a coercion to action. And went on the attack. The fight took place near the ferry. Leading to the other side of the village. We arrived at that moment. When 12 of Pan's accomplices decided to move to the main bank of the village using a ferry. There is no exact information. But the fight was no joke. 3 of Zubar's fighters became heavy 300s. 5 more are easy. Only I and a fighter named Batov got out of it dry. Pan's accomplices. Intending to escape in an unknown direction. Less fortunate. 7 killed. 3 wounded. 2 surrendered. Ferry. And buildings. Serving him. Got it. The losses were estimated at almost 100 credits. At 6 in the morning, fighter Batov and I swam to the other bank of the Tikaya River. And wet came to a bar called Quiet. Located on a small sandy beach. What they didn't share with 3 Brazilians. I don't know. How does he not know? And no one else. According to eyewitnesses. We started the fight. Because they just wanted to let off steam. Before this it was as if they were doing embroidery. The Brazilians were beaten. And went for help. As many as 7 of us came to beat us. Some Mexicans. And Cubans. Buddies of the Brazilians. The owner of the bar. And the bouncer decided to help them. In vain. As it turned out. We were not ready to give up. Fine. That it didn't come to shooting. Someone recognized Batov. And said. What? By killing us. You can get into big trouble. Would 2 drunk Russians just give up? The defense was held in the bar corridor. Using available means. Chairs. Tables. Bottles. And that's all. That we came across. And the attackers under the arms. The fight ended with Batov and me losing. They crushed him by force. And beat him up quite badly as a preventative measure. The cafe owner presented a bill for 30,000 credits. Bakov, Zubar, and Efimenko picked us up at 8 in the morning. I regained consciousness several times. But was not conscious. I've gone crazy. There's no other way to put it. They're not lying. I asked doubtfully. They're not lying. Bakov answered firmly. Are you surprised? Surprised is not the right word. I answered, I'm terrified. I would never have believed it. That when drunk you can cause such mischief. I freaked out so much. Where am I supposed to get so much money now? I won't be able to pay it off for a century. Andriusha. We laughed. And that's enough. Olga smiled. At Nikita's. And so, in the literal sense, there is no face. And after hearing it again. And became despondent. The sad, absent face is something. Tell the truth. Bakov. I looked at Olga in bewilderment. My face is not a piece of cake. Agree. It's not clear. What truth are we talking about? That. What I told. Was in reality. Bakov also smiled. I just lied a little. And there were fights in the village of Raj. And in Devoika there was a fight at the ferry. And then at the bar. Zubar's guys caused a stir there. Only you weren't with them. You ended up in another one. A less fun predicament. Arriving in the village of Raj. You went into a pub. I washed down my intoxication with 2 glasses of whiskey. And went to the toilet. There you are. And covered. In terms of. Covered. I frowned, frowning hurt. Not all of Pan's accomplices calmed down. Bakov continued. At the entrance to the toilet, you were hit in the face with a rifle butt. And thus cut it down. They kicked me around pretty badly too. One particularly nimble asshole tap danced on your face. This is what an eyewitness said. Relieving himself in one of the booths. And peeping at what is happening through the crack. After that, you were carried out of the tavern through the back entrance. Loaded into the car. And took to the village of Devoika. Zubar's boys. Say thank them. Quickly understood. What's happening? And rushed in pursuit. You were present at the battle at the ferry. But in an unconscious state. 2 of Pan's accomplices still managed to get to the other side of the village. And take you with me. Zubar's guys did not calm down. And continued the chase. The next skirmish took place at the quiet bar on the coast. Where, as agreed, 6 more of Pan's men were waiting. Another shootout. And again you were miraculously not hit. That's the end of it. Because we have arrived. And it all ended. This is what she is like. Truth. The lie was more beautiful. Right. Kidnap me. Or something. Have you tried? I asked, continuing to frown. My head is completely at a loss. Yes. They tried to kidnap you. Olga answered. Dash. And they almost succeeded. If it weren't for Zubar's guys. Say thank you to them. You deserve a thank you too. Because thanks to you, the small camp became known. Located 100 kilometers from the village of Devoika on the other side of the river. There were 9 fighters in the camp. And they are all at rest. Camp. By the way. Good. A small clarification. Which bank of the Tikaya River are we on? I asked. On the main one. Answered Bakov. To go to Raj or Sachsenhausen. There is no need to use the ferry. Clear. I answered and stood up carefully. You are sitting. And talk. I'll go lie down. I feel bad somehow. Bakov. And Olga helped me get to the room. In which I recently rested. Collapsing onto the bed. I managed to fall asleep in a few minutes. The damage done needs to be treated. And the best medicine is sleep. This time, awakening was not so painful. Without locomotives in mind. And pile drivers. Which destroyed my body. The condition is not so great. But it has improved. My head is clearer. The body doesn't hurt as much. And the eye begins to see. It's night outside. The moonlight illuminates the room a little. Without looking for the switch, I try to be silent. Went out into the corridor. It's lighter in the corridor, because the night light is on. Having gone to the kitchen, drank water from the tap, and ate a couple of cookies, lying in a vase. I didn't climb into the cabinets. I didn't look in the refrigerator either. I have no right to manage the house without a mistress. The room next to the kitchen is a spacious hall, also with a panoramic window, and just a huge loggia, from which the Tikaya River is clearly visible, and the edge of the opposite part of the village of Devoika. Olga was found in the loggia. He sits in a rocking chair with a glass of something dark, and looks at the stars, which are clearly visible through the transparent roof. You knew that there are no Earth constellations in this world? She asked quietly. No. I answered just as quietly. I didn't really worry about it. But I can immediately express a hypothesis. And I think that it will be the most widespread. This world is located in another part of space and therefore has other constellations in the sky. Or this world is in an alternate reality, which changes little. Yes. Olga nodded barely noticeably. These hypotheses are the most common, but no one can confirm them. It's the 21st century. And we travel to another world through portals. And on the moon like that. And didn't fly off. There is no point in talking about planets at all. They are distant to people. What about Neil Armstrong? I asked and sat down in the chair next to Olga. Not a rocking chair. Normal. But soft. And comfortable. The Americans have not been to the moon. This is a scam. I won't argue. I muttered, looking at the stars. I injected you with a good medicine. Olga said. It got better. I nodded. Noticeably better. You will have wine, Nikita. Weak. And sweet. You'll like it. I'll try. Doubting. I said there is a possibility that the body will refuse alcohol. It's useful in your situation. Olga said, filling the second glass from a small decanter. You'll see. This particular wine really gives you strength. I took the glass and carefully tasted the wine. A cloyingly sweet plum compote with a slight raspberry flavor. And this is not wine. You can't taste the alcohol. If he is there, then in too small a dose. The wine is delicious. I assessed, but not for me. It wouldn't hurt to dilute it with water. I don't like cloyingly sweet things. You've already drunk some bitter. Olga mimicked. Go to the kitchen and dilute 1 to 1. Nothing bad will happen to you. Main. Pour water from the filter. It's boiled there. Drinking from the tap is dangerous, because you can get a daily residence permit in the toilet. I went to the kitchen, found the filter, and diluted the wine. Taking a stool with him. Returned to the loggia. Sitting in the chair. Put his feet on the stool. And began to drink wine. Did you pay attention to the moon? Olga asked. I looked at the crescent of the waning moon. And answered. I did. Certainly. The moon is like the moon. It looks just like the Earth one. Twin sister. Exactly. Olga quietly agreed. Local moon from the Earth's twin. Only the relief is different. But in the same way, one side is turned towards the planet. And it is simply impossible to see the other one. No ideas come to mind. There is a conjecture. After thinking, I answered, I was about 20 years old when I read an article by one scientist. He claimed that the moon is an alien command center from which they watch us. Artificial satellite, so to speak. Based on his statements. Unproven. By the way, we can assume the following. 2 worlds. Our former one. And this one. Birds of a feather. The moons confirm this. There are too many coincidences. There is such a hypothesis. Nikita. I also read that article somewhere. Planet. Which we are now on. Full of mysteries. One continent. Which is available to displaced persons. Other continents are closed to us. There is no doubt about their presence. But to discover them like this. And it didn't work. No sailors. I suggested. Eat. Olga answered. Adventurers. Those who want to explore the unknown. In bulk. Many islands near the mainland are open. And here's that. What lies further? No. Some people tried to float on rafts. And someone created quite good ships. All in vain. There is a shaky border. It begins 100 nautical miles from the mainland coast. And ends up being just over 1,000 miles away in some places. Where there are large islands. You can't sail beyond this border. Something will be found. What will cause the ship to sink? People. Caught in disaster. In most cases they returned. Some tried again. And suffered defeat again. Don't float away. No matter how much you try. Interesting. I muttered, it works. That we are not allowed beyond a certain point. They don't want to. So that they can see. And found out that. What you are not supposed to know. Interesting. There are many mysteries in this world. Olga said too quietly. As if afraid to be heard. It's unlikely that we'll ever unravel them. We sat for another hour. And then went to bed. More precisely. I went and Olga did the same. And remained on the loggia with the aim of finishing the decanter. I learned it from her. That Andreyka Bakov, Maxim Efimenko, and Elena Ravenko left for the city of Svetly. The first to meet with the serious uncles from the United Bank. The last ones are preparing for the move. Maxim Efimenko moves to the village of Raj. Elena Ravenko in Sachsenhausen. Overall, the situation in the three villages can be called stable. Bakov is now considered the main one. Although he himself does not agree with this. Modest Karandashov became the main person in the village of Sachsenhausen. And immediately got to work. In the village of Raj the government also changed. And now Zubar is in charge of everything. Honestly. This surprised me. In the village of Devoika everything remained the same. The local head, Cuban Carlos Alonso, decided to cooperate with the new government. Cooperate actively. He has a relationship with Pan. As it turned out. We're tense. Things are good with Bakov. The palace of Pan was given over to the Tajiks. Recently arrived in this world. Not forever. And during the reconstruction. Japanese style must disappear. And a modern one will take its place. According to the foreman. It will take them about 3 months to complete all the work. Once construction is completed, they will switch to building a resort town. The clean lake is now accessible to everyone. 3 villages are expected to undergo changes in the near future. The main thing is the creation of a single governing body. And law enforcement agencies. If only this legal order worked according to conscience. And not like in the previous world. There are also plans to expand the industry. Agriculture. And the number of housing units in villages. We will attract new people. The last and probably the most pleasant thing. I got a little rich. On behalf of 3 villages, I was given a choice of housing. Solid houses in any of the villages. In addition to housing, there is a substantial cash reward. 150,000 credits is a considerable sum. It's worth thinking about business. Think. That I will settle down in Devoika. Of all 3 villages, I like this one the most. Interesting. How is Kaylee? Haven't forgotten about me yet. Waiting. Sure. Is waiting. With thoughts of a glorious future, I fell asleep soundly. The morning began with getting myself in order. The face is still terrible. But the swelling goes down. Olga's magical treatment helps. Didn't have time to wake up. And has already received a couple of injections into the gluteal muscle. I soaked the scabs on my hands in a ferricillin solution. After treatment with peroxide, the hands were bandaged. Skillfully bandaged. Has not lost its grasping function. Having shaved. And having washed myself. Went to have breakfast. Olga baked pancakes. Besides them, there are many delicious things on the table. Starting from cottage cheese. And ending with fish. And meat. There is no chance of going hungry. What are your plans for today? I asked. I've made up my mind. Where will you settle? Olga answered with a question. Yes. I nodded. I'll live in the two. Only on this shore. I don't want to burden myself with a ferry. Of the 3 villages, this one is my favorite. Good choice. Olga smiled. Her morning did not begin with tea. And not even with coffee. A glass of wine. You will have breakfast. And we'll go to the administration. Carlos Alonso will show everything. And will tell. Think. That a good house will be found for you. To the mansions. Like me. Don't count on it. And the same view from the window. How are you? I asked, pointing towards the Tikaya River. Carlos has everything. Olga answered. Have breakfast. And let's go. The local administration building is a 3-minute walk from Olga's house. It is located in a 3-story brick building. Painted white. There is a large sign right next to the roof. Which is written in several languages. That the building is an administration building. Nearby there is a park of a couple of 100 square meters with a pond. And a fountain. There is no fence. And that makes me happy. There is no security either. Carlos Alonso met us at the door. He looks about 50 years old. Very dark. And black-haired. Neatly shaved. And trimmed. Dressed in snow-white trousers. Beige shoes. And a pink shirt with a light blue tie. He speaks Russian perfectly. Having greeted us. Led to the office. Not forgetting to ask the secretary to bring refreshments for the guests. And before that, having checked with me. What will I drink? Carlos's office cannot be called luxurious. He is simple. But cozy. Is it true? Heavily smoky. I and Olga sat down on a simple sofa. Carlos sat down in the chair. And lit his pipe. I was expecting a cigar. But. Apparently. It's tense with them here. Tobacco. Stuffed into a tube. Honestly. It smells terrible. The secretary brought some treats. A plate of fruit. A plate with cold meats. A vase of sweets. I'll have some tea. Wine for Olga. And a cocktail for Carlos. I wouldn't be surprised. If the cocktail is based on rum. Rum is loved in Cuba. I waited. That you will come to me. Carlos spoke. If they came. Means. Nikita decided to live in our village. I am very glad. Honestly. 2 is the best place. Sachsenhausen. And I never liked Horn. I spoke with Bakov. So I'm aware of everything. I can't offer much. Take a look. Maybe. Whatever you like. I just want to clarify. Houses. Belonging to Pan's accomplices. Will you consider it? There are only 4 of them. Having lost their owners. They automatically became the property of the village. What's so special about them? I was surprised. Nothing. Carlos shrugged. I was just clarifying. You never know. People have all sorts of prejudices. It doesn't make any difference to me. Who was the previous owner of the house? I said. And who was the owner before the previous owner? Not superstitious. Then let's do it this way. Carlos began. And climbed into the table. Continuing to speak. We knew it. And did all the work yesterday. There are not many photographs. But they are good. And even printed ones. Carlos pulled a white paper folder out of his desk. And handed it to me. Choose. You'll make up your mind. And let's go see. You'll make up your mind. And there. Then we'll make the documents. There were 14 houses to choose from. 8 of them are on the other side of the river. I immediately brushed them aside. There are 6 left. And of them only one is on the shore with a view of the river. The house is 1 story. But looks good. Made of timber. And seems to be brand new. The living area is a little over 80 square meters. A plot of land of 10 to 12 acres. No more. There is a garage. Bathhouse. Alcove. A small vegetable garden with fruit trees. And a woodshed. Decided not to delay. And go to the viewing. The house turned out to be better in real life than in the photographs. It was built about 10 years ago. The area is surrounded by a solid wooden fence 2 meters high. And has good iron gates. Brick garage. Log bathhouse. The house used to belong to some Italian, about whom there has been no word for over a year. If the owner does not appear within a year, and does not notify about itself from other cities, then the houses are automatically considered the property of the village. Although cases vary. But that's not the point now. What do you say, Nikita? Olga asked. When I finished the inspection. All this time she and Carlos were sitting in the gazebo. And were peacefully talking about something. A normal house. I answered, I like it. Maine. What's by the river? The living area can be increased if desired. Demolish this house. And build a new one. My decision. I'll take it. Good decision. Carlos rejoiced. Now it's just a small matter. Bureaucracy. Think that the whole thing will take no more than an hour. We returned to the administration. An hour later I became the full owner of the house. Carlos issued not only the title deeds for the property, but and a new passport from Sachsenhausen, which Wilkins did. He is different. Looks like the old one, according to Carlos. Standard. That. What Wilkins gave out. You can throw it away. This one is quoted almost throughout the entire continent. The monetary reward turned out to be more difficult. To get it, I have to get to the city of Svetli and register with the Unified Bank. The account is already open. And the money is on it. But receipt only after registration. I don't need a lot of money yet. So I will solve the problem as soon as possible. At the same time I'll take a look at the city of Svetli. It's interesting, isn't it? Having lunch with Olga at her home. I gritting his teeth. Borrowed a couple of 100 credits from her. And went to the village of Sachsenhausen in an old Nissan with a taciturn Uzbek. It's time to move away from Bakov. And move into your own home. The road provides an opportunity to think. The Uzbek doesn't like to step on the gas. Nissan is driving slowly. The broken suspension is knocking. Like a blacksmith's hammer. Togo. And look, something will fall off. I came back. On that fateful day. When I met Masha. And the old one from the dark future. Mentally returned. Certainly. It is physically impossible. You can't turn back time. That day changed my life completely. And irrevocably. Everything could have been different. Continue to exist among people in the same world. And not strive for anything. No. Not for me. This is definitely not my thing right now. May I say that I'm glad about that. What happened? Yes. I can safely say this. I'm glad that I ended up in a new world. About which. And had no idea. I like him. Apparently. I was made for him. And not for the former world. I felt uncomfortable about that. Is this how I imagined my arrival? And the first days? No. Not so. Otherwise. Not so eventful. Definitely not a cave. Made by a hydrocarbon worm. With a cave eater. Scared me to death. And a bear named Ugurk. Which surprised me. I didn't imagine the dead forest. I had no idea that I will meet the English. And I will be forced to accept Irishwoman Kaylee into the company. I didn't imagine any of this. And didn't even imagine. What do I have now? A little. But enough. For the first few days it can be considered that I have a lot. friends, girl, own home, and a round sum of money in the account of the only bank in this world. Life is pleasant. No matter how you look at it. Thinking about that. Where to invest money. I didn't notice. How we arrived in Sachsenhausen. And stopped near Modest Karandashov's house. The Uzbek received his honestly earned 100 credits. And went on business. He didn't come to the village for my sake. I'm just a profitable travel companion. After that. How Pan was gone. A lot of people travel back and forth. Residents of the villages agree on something. Known only to them. There are now an order of magnitude more things to do. Business is growing. Modest was not at home. His wife kindly gave him the keys to the Toyota. And 10 minutes later I was behind the wheel of my car. In your clothes and most importantly. In large sunglasses. Which at least somehow hide my swollen face. I decided to drop in to see Modest at the administration office first. And only after that go to Bakov's house. I was told. That your face got beat up. But what is it? You were beaten up pretty badly. Nikita. Modest. Continuing to smile. Came up to me. And hugged. Yes. I got only a little. I smiled back. And returned the glasses to his face. But nothing. A couple of days. And will heal. Maine. Alive. You. As I see it. Took on his duties with triple zeal. Modest Karandashov is now the head of Sachsenhausen. And everything changes in the village. The changes began with the administration. There will no longer be a hotel in the building. And living rooms. All. That once belonged to Wilkins. Distributed to the population. The village head's office was moved to the first floor. And only the building's lobby was allocated for this purpose. Where until recently a full-lipped blonde sat behind the reception desk. All other premises were subject to reconstruction. For what purpose I don't know yet. 4 tables are piled high with folders. And papers. 2 skinny guys, no older than 30, are copying something into laptops. Not forgetting to calculate the sums on calculators. Job. Job. And work again. Modest began to tell. Thanks to Wilkins. You can't expect order for another couple of weeks. Can you imagine? Only 12% of the village's income remained in the village itself. And Wilkins took everything else for himself. Well. And Pan. How could it be without it? We count. And we are amazed. Why did you decide to renovate the building? I asked. We will have to repair a lot of things. Modest answered. Now almost 40 people will work in the village administration. I frowned. Isn't it a bit much? No. Modest waved it off. There is too much work. One construction team will consist of only 12 people. On their shoulders. In essence. The whole village will be. From a loose screw in a door to a water channel installation. If one is needed to irrigate fields. Don't you want to work? I promise the position of foreman. I won't offend you with my salary. I shook my head. And smiled. It's not the right profession. Perhaps. I will refuse. Modest came to his senses. And began to rattle. By the way. Nikita. I wanted to ask. How are you with housing? Made up my mind. Where will you settle? In the 2. Modest. Everything is clear with you. He said menacingly and jokingly. And pointed to the door. We have things to do. Don't distract me anymore. I gave the new head of the village a friendly pat on the shoulder. And left the administration. Fluff. As usual. Is disguised. No matter how much you search. You won't see. Until he wants to. Having driven the car into the yard. I headed into the house. I heard the sounds of music while still on the porch. It's noisy in the house. The song Crawling by the legendary band Linkin Park is playing. Kaylee is dancing. She fully recovered from her illness. Flutters around the room in a light white tracksuit. Not noticing anything around. How? The question arises. Can we dance to this song? No. I don't understand this. And the song is cool. I like Linkin Park. E.H. Chester. My appearance was noticed about 2 minutes later. When the music stopped playing. And it became quiet. However. Not for long. The powerful sound system began to play, Moscow Calling, by the group Gorky Park. It took a few seconds to stop the music. And then I found myself in a joyful embrace. Beyond kisses. Which makes me happy. Didn't get it. I'm not in that condition. It didn't take long to get ready. I dragged all our things into the car. Drank some tea. And said. That we can go. Tell everything in detail. What has been happening over the past few days. Didn't. He remained silent for the most part. Where are we going? Didn't say either. Let it be a surprise. Having stopped the car at the gate. Looked at his red-haired friend and smiled. Said. We are here. Kayla liked the village of Devoyka. But she is like that. And didn't understand. Why did we come here? Thinks. What to relax on the river. Alas. But we are unlikely to rest. Only at night. And in bed. We went outside. Approached the gate. And entered the courtyard. I asked calmly. Like. Nick. Did you buy a house? Kaylee asked with delight in her eyes. I nodded. A smile never leaves my rumpled face from the village of Sachsenhausen. Kaylee squealed. And jumped on me. Wrapping his legs around his back. She started kissing. And say something very quickly. With difficulty, he tore her away from himself. Put it on the ground. Turned towards the house and pushed. Said. Go and see. And evaluate. I'll drive the car in. And I'll start dragging things around. There are mountains of things to do. We spent the rest of the day cleaning. Kaylee was busy around the house. And I'm on the street. All. What is not needed. Stored at the gate with the subsequent purpose of taking it to the landfill. There is a lot of work. And one cannot cope with it in a day. The plans are grandiose. Towards the evening we stocked up on groceries at the store. We cooked dinner together. Ate it. And closer to midnight we moved to bed. The hope for a sweet dream is gone. When someone started banging on the gate. And to whom? The question arises. Can't sleep at such a late hour. I went outside wearing just my underwear. But he didn't forget to take his pistol with him. The village of Devoyka is sleeping. And it's quiet outside. If you don't take into account the slight rattling of the engine. And the light of the headlights. Making its way under the gate. See Bulat Musin. Sasha Bodrov. And I didn't expect Raisa Surkova. They arrived in Sonya's Audi. Congratulations on your housewarming. Bodrov spoke straight away. And started shaking my hand. Sorry. Nikitos. But we have urgent business. Time waits for no one. What's the matter? I frowned, and by the way. Hello. Hello. Raisa nodded. Bulat slapped me on the hand. Pointed to my appearance. And said. It's an urgent matter. So you can go get dressed. In a nutshell. Some bad guys showed up. And they need to be killed. Hurry up. Nikita. The equipment is complete. We'll lend you armor. I sighed tiredly. You can't sit still on your butt. Why can't I sit still? I had to calm Kaylee down. I was pleased. That she reacted quite normally to the emergence of urgent matters. I need to go somewhere. So go ahead. Said. That I'm the boss. And that means. To me. And decide. She is ready to wait at least a month. At least a year. And where was Kaylee all this time? Why didn't I meet her before? To get myself together. It took 12 minutes. Having thrown away the unloading. And weapons in the trunk of the Audi. I jumped into the back seat next to Bulat. Sonya immediately moved the car from its place and did not spare the suspension. drove towards the ferry. Raisa began to tell her story. The long-range patrol arrived an hour ago. You know about Pan's training base 100 kilometers away. This patrol is from there. 3 or 4 hours ago, a crossing was recorded a few kilometers from the camp. Not spontaneous. Stable transition. Lasting for almost 40 minutes. During this time, a sufficient number of vehicles left the crossing. 3 buses. 2 of which are filled with young girls. And 1 with children. In addition to the bus, 8 army Humvees with machine guns arrived in this world. And small caliber guns. 3 military armored trucks with fighters. And 1 striker. Our patrol did not interfere with the action. And just watched. The arriving brethren remained on site for about half an hour. And then moved in the opposite direction from us. More likely. They just don't know. Where did you end up? And for now they will be lost. Nothing more is known. We drove up to the ferry. Who was already waiting. And Sonia carefully drove onto the steel giant. Not quite a giant. When compared to Earth's ferries. It is unlikely that this ferry is capable of transporting even a truck to the other side of the river. A couple of cars easily. 2 guys outside secured the car with guy wires. And the floating craft set off. It's a 10-minute swim. No less. Stryker, which American armored personnel carrier is that? I asked when we went outside. And approached the edge of the ferry. That's him. Answered Bodrev. I have never seen such a thing in real life. And I met him. I answered, it's a serious car. And we are not able to compete with it. That's why I'm asking. What is the purpose of the trip? We're catching up. And we observe. Answered Bulat. Bakov. And everyone else already knows. They didn't notify Svetly. But. More likely. They'll find out soon enough. The patrolman had time to chat. He pointed at the ferryman. This. And they told me that. Bad patrolman. I muttered, at least ours. One of ours. But you don't know him. Raisa answered. 2 Kazakhs. Belarusian. And Ukrainian. The 5 chatterboxes. Were they even able to get a good look at this company? I asked. Bodrev shook his head. We'll see for ourselves. I said and went to the car. It will be impossible to understand anything ahead of time anyway. We'll catch up, see, and think about it. I'll try to sleep. The column is large. And finding her by her tracks is not a problem. Try not to wake him up. If I fall fast asleep. Bodrev invitingly pointed to his Audi. And said. You are welcome. The front seat is at your disposal. Half reclining the seat. I made myself comfortable. Closed his eyes. And started to think. Chapter 11. Peaceful pastime. And the trip to the city of Svetly is postponed for now. Kaylee will have to live alone. And that's for sure. Fine. That I left her all the money. Of which there are not too many. You won't have to go hungry. Taking into account the prices in stores. He definitely won't spend it all. Okay. You can forget about this for a while. Now about what's coming. A column of arrivals. Who are you? You don't need to be a genius. Buses with children. And girls talk. That there is a clear manifestation of the slave trade. Okay. Girls. But why children? To whom? Damn it. Did you need children? In that they came to this world voluntarily. I don't believe. There is no way this could have happened without a bright future. Considering that the transport is American. It can be said with 99% accuracy. We are dealing with Americans. Problems. Why do these problems fall on our shoulders? Why is all this crap swirling around me? I don't think I'm a magnet. One problem has been solved. And the second one appeared. And this one will be more serious. I'm sure of it. I fell asleep only when we continued driving. What Bodrev talked about. Musin. And Serkova. Tried not to listen. Tried to sleep. And eventually succeeded. I need a couple of hours of rest like air. I managed to sleep for a little over an hour. Sleeping is a strong word. It was shaking so much that I wanted to go out. The Audi suspension cannot boast of being soft. It is wooden. A half-asleep state can't exactly be called full-fledged sleep. It seems like I even dreamed something. Where are we going? I asked, trying to drive away the remnants of sleep. Bullet. And Raisa took an example from me. And sleep in the back seat. Raisa is much more comfortable. She pressed Bullet against the door, taking up 2/3 of the space. 10 kilometers. And we will be in the camp. Sonia answered. There are 2 of ours there now. They will escort you to the convoy's arrival point. And will return. I opened the window. And stuck his head out. The fresh night air helped to drive away the remnants of sleep. You think? Will we catch up by morning? I asked. Don't know. Sonia responded. If you haven't gone far. Then we'll catch up at dawn. You won't get far with such a crowd. I muttered. They drive about 30 kilometers in an hour. No more. A few minutes later the sky began to cloud over. Moon. And the stars disappeared. A light breeze arose. The terrain remains hilly. But seems the hills are descending. There are more bushes. And rare trees are found. Or we'll soon be driving through the fields. Or through the forest. Maine. So as not to go through the swamp. Although a column with their heavy equipment will definitely not be able to pass through the swamp. Problem. I said, it will start pouring. And we will lose the column. Problem. Agreed Sonia. Looking at the sky through the side window. A few more minutes. And small drops appeared on the windshield. A drizzling rain is not scary. Maine. So that there would be no downpour. There was no need to go into the camp. An old UAZ drove out to meet us. After a short conversation with 2 tired fighters, we continued our journey. We were there in an hour. It's still drizzling. When is dawn already? You can't see a thing. Column. Recently arrived in this world. Left behind a significant number of traces. Only cans. And there will be about 24 beer bottles. Chips packaging. Dried fish. Nuts. And even more crackers. Used condoms are found. Which confirms my suspicions. They spoil the goods. Bitches. What product? You can't talk about people like that. Be patient. Girls. And children. We are working. Definitely Americans. I said, looking at the empty package of Fritos chips. They. Sonia nodded. And showed an empty bottle of Budweiser beer in the light of the flashlight. There's just one thing I don't understand. Why do they behave so dirty? The military seems to be. Are not military. Maybe. And not military. I said indifferently and headed towards the car. Opening the door. Called. Let's go already. San. Lenya. And Max. Return to camp. Sonia gave the command to the patrolman. Wait for ours. Keep in touch. Is everything clear? The patrolman nodded. And headed towards the UAZ. A minute. And we continued driving. A bad feeling appears. The column left too visible a trace. And we are unlikely to miss it. You'll be lucky. And we'll really catch up at dawn. How are things going with the security of the village perimeter? I asked, tired of remaining silent. And what are the boundaries of this protection? Borders. Sonia frowned. There are no boundaries. It's not a state. And villages. Security. You can say. No. She was in Pan's plans. Sometimes small gangs appeared. And began to bother the population. There were always a sufficient number of people willing to shoot. And the gangs disappeared. Everything went on its own. And these are the options. How is it now? I continued asking, have you often encountered the movements of such powerful groups of people? If this small army wishes to take power in any of the villages, she will do it. A lot of blood will be shed. This is the first time I've seen this happen. Sonya answered. There were smaller movements. Sometimes it's quiet for months. And sometimes they just knock you down. Now it is precisely the latter. Don't know. What is this connected with? But apparently, space has its own quirks. At the portals. More precisely, everything is chaotic. But there is some undetected pattern. Regarding the seizure of power, you are right. It is difficult to stop such a large group. But it is possible. By the efforts of the population. You understand yourself. It is foolish to rely on the population. I began to reason, we need to change the old way of life. Which Pan left us. I don't argue. This will require the injection of large sums of money. But will ultimately bring many benefits. Protection of villages is an important issue. First. Something to think about. And try to bring it to life. Creation of a powerful paramilitary mobile group. A detachment of 30 to 40 guns. Arm. And equipped to the maximum. Transport is fast. Buggy. ATVs. Powerful SUVs. Purchase drones in Svetli. If they are there. Thanks to drones, you can see more. To start with, a couple of flights per day. They fly around the area adjacent to the villages in the morning. And in the evening. Take a perimeter of 40 to 50 kilometers. Thanks to such simple measures we will be safer. And people value safety. Sonya began to laugh quietly. What's wrong? I was surprised. Nothing. Nikita. Honestly. Nothing. Thought. You're going to say something serious. And not this nonsense. Okay. It is still possible to create a division. But drones. I thought of it. I swear to God. Where have you seen such cool drones? Where haven't you seen them? I answered with a question, but you served in the army. San. Where did you serve? I was a contract soldier. Sasha Bodrev answered. I served in the Caucasus. In reconnaissance. I had a chance to shoot at the bad guys a little. My habitat was the mountains. There are good American drones. I decided to tell, RQ-7A Shadow. For example. Not a bad device. They used this in Syria. It was a trophy. Truth. It easily flies for 100 kilometers. Maybe even more. I don't remember exactly how much. I also encountered the RQ-2 Pioneer. But he will be older. And worse. First. In essence. Its modification. Of ours, Inspector 402 is good. Because it can fly 400 kilometers on batteries. It's hard to get. Think. There are none of them in this world. There is an even newer modification. Gasoline powered. It can fly almost 1,000 kilometers. Do you know anything about drones? Sonya asked. I nodded. I know a little about it. I was interested in it in my free time. Dunham's drone is fierce. And can fly 2,000 kilometers. It's hard to believe. Certainly. Until I see it. I won't believe it. All in all. Enough about drones. No, then no. You need to find out about this from those who visits large cities. Maybe. Drones will be found. Sure. That will be found. I like the idea with the unit. Sonya said thoughtfully. Think. That it is worth discussing. But we need to create more than just one division. And at least a couple. Huntsmen. And border guards. Each unit should have small groups of 3 to 5 people each. We need 30 to 40 such groups. This. Count. Already a small army. Agree. I answered, staring into the darkness. And continuing to spin the idea in my head. But the downsides will appear immediately. We won't find well-trained people in such numbers. Average. You will have to get a maximum of 1 pro in the group. There is no other way. And still the need for a third unit will remain. Besides the rangers and border guards will need a special unit, which, in the event of a serious uproar, will immediately move into this very uproar. Well. And you are chatterboxes. Raisa muttered discontentedly from the back seat. Huntsmen. Border guards. Specialists. Drones. Where are we going? Rain. Or something. Are you going? It has been drizzling for a long time. And he is not scary to us. I answered, there's still quite a distance to go. Keep sleeping. We definitely won't catch up before dawn. Your mother. Bodrev. Raisa suddenly shouted. That I wanted to jump out of the car right while it was moving. Turn off the headlights. Fool. Sonya pressed the brake to the floor. And immediately turned off the headlights. Raisa managed to hold on. And Bullet, who was still sleeping, hit my seat hard. And immediately groaned. Idiots. Raisa continued to be indignant. But not so loud anymore. Don't you see? You will say. What don't you see? They went completely blind. Yes. Mother. What are you yelling about? Bullet muttered discontentedly. Sonya. Easier with the brakes. I almost broke my neck. Just look. Raisa said demandingly. And practically climbed over to my front seat. Pointing his finger at the center of the windshield. She added. Look carefully. I started watching. Seems that somewhere in the distance the eye catches a light. Seems. I don't see anything. Sonya muttered. Raisa. What's there? I can't see a damn thing. Said Bullet. Sticking his head between my seat and the door pillar. What's there? Raisa. I think I see a light. I said doubtfully, it seems so. And I don't see. I always forget that I have perfect vision. Said Raisa. There are fires burning ahead. And the headlights of the cars are shining far. And because of the drizzle it's hard to see the light. Your eyes are bad. Kids. We have arrived. Continue on foot. But first you need to make sure that we weren't noticed. I was the first to get out of the car. And began to take a closer look. He peered intently into the darkness for several seconds. But I didn't see anything. Maybe. Did it just seem that way? No. At races. And truly phenomenal vision. Be careful. Advised Bullet, who stood next to me. Have you forgotten about the local animals? We are not in the villages. And not next to them. There, hunters often reduce the number of dangerous creatures. There are countless numbers of them here. Crack. And the leg is off. Have you seen the local centipede? I started looking around. Dark. It's very dark. I can barely make out Bullet. There is grass underfoot. The rain is still drizzling. Understand. What kind of landscape surrounds us? It doesn't seem possible. How? The question arises. Should I be able to see the local fauna without a flashlight? I see them. Said Raisa. Dash. And I see quite well. Rain. Truth. It's a big hindrance. He's more serious there. About 7 kilometers to them. No more. You don't see anything at all. I can see my hands. Bodrev responded. And opened the trunk of the Audi. I can't see my legs. It's dark. Like in the ass. Bullet said cheerfully. However. I wasn't in the ass. There. Maybe. It will be darker. That's why. That it's not worth climbing into someone's ass without a light bulb. Bodrev continued cheerfully. Yes. And in general it's not worth getting into trouble. With or without light bulb. Why the hell are we getting into it? Who can answer? This is not a but. And intelligence. I answered, we will not engage in combat. Let's just see. It's better to go on a sortie in pairs. Or 3 of us. Someone has to stay. And guard the car. You never know what could happen to her. What if some ferret fetishist decides to desecrate the tires? Stop joking. Raisa said demandingly. We're not out for a walk. We'll go on reconnaissance together. Me and Nikita. Bullet. And Sasha. You stay with the car. There were no objections. I felt like going to the bathroom. I'll go off on a small scale, I said and grabbed the machine gun. Decided to step away. After all, we have a woman with us. And I'm somehow embarrassed to gurgle near it. What a shy girl. It's even funny to me. I went to pee like that one night. And the toad cutter almost cut off my end. Bullet said to me from behind. It's better to hold it with both hands. If he rushes, let him chew his fingers first. Who is a toad cutter? I didn't bother to find out. You'll think about something bad. And it will happen. I won't think about it. After moving away about 30 meters. Unbuttoned his pants. And got down to business. Didn't have time to finish. Because a meter away from me something rustled in the grass. There is nothing wrong with ordinary rustling. But for some reason, at that very moment, my vision became super duper cool. And I saw the size of the rustling. The rustling creates something quite long. About 1.5 meters. Flat. And not wide. It looks like a snake. But it's definitely not a snake. The cause of the rustling noise has legs. And there are too many of them. I see how the grass moves from the movement of these legs. The most important thing returned to the pants absolutely silently. And instead he found himself with a machine gun in his hands. The muffler is attached to it. And subsonic cartridges. But shooting is still risky. Nikita. Are you stuck there? Raisa called me. I didn't answer. And took a cautious step back. The cause of the rustling moved 1/2 meter towards me. And froze. My legs start shaking. What kind of bad luck is this? Nikita. The main thing is that you don't move. Raisa spoke again. But this time in a worried tone. I see you through the thermal imager. A centipede has taken refuge next to you. She is dangerous. But if she didn't attack right away, that means is waiting. Better keep quiet. You will run on my signal. Fine. Nod. I will see. The trembling intensified to the point of impossibility. Fine. That I managed to pee. Otherwise I might wet my pants. I decided to nod cautiously. And continued to wait. Ready to run at any second. Oh. And I don't like insects. I hate it. Especially the big ones. And dangerous. Why isn't this a regular earthly cockroach? Scolopendra attacks forward. And a little to the side. Raisa continued. Up. Steeply to the side. And her body does not allow her to attack back. Her muscles are fast. And when attacking, a shot is fired. And body lengthening. You'll rush back. And grab it. We'll have time to kill her. But the poison will still kill you after a few minutes. She has too much poison. Your task is to run forward. Right through it. This is the only way out. Nikita. You start at 5. Heard 5. And run. Understood. Nod. I nodded. Fine. That I don't see a centipede. Only outlines. I'll see. And I will turn to stone with fear. Raisa started counting. 1, 2, 3, 5. I jumped forward. Jumped like this. That my legs started to hurt. Muscles are capable of much when exposed to fear. Having landed. Immediately ran. And heard the sounds psych psych. Raisa started shooting from the Vintorez. Hope. Aiming. I run fast. Along the arc. Without noticing anything. I see the outline of a car. I keep running. And stick to the given trajectory. Vintorez fell silent. All. Saiga. You can stop. Raisa shouted quietly. I destroyed your Scolopendra. I didn't stop. Ran up to the car. Opened the back door. And climbed onto the seat with his legs. Dark. Scary. And there is not enough air. It took me about 5 minutes to come to my senses. Having recovered. And tired of listening to Bodrov's stupid jokes. And Musin. I risked getting out of the car again. It was with difficulty that I was persuaded to take a look. And we, taking a lantern, went to look at the dead centipede. Sonia moved the car a little, and thereby closed us off from observers. You can turn on the flashlight, but it's better to shine without fanaticism. Into the sky. And there is no need to aim it precisely into the distance. Scolopendra is scary. And even the dead one makes you tremble. It has a striped coloring. Yellow-orange. Screaming. It definitely won't camouflage itself during the day. The body consists of at least 4 dozen sections. Each section has 4 legs with stinging spikes. The centipede's head is adorned with huge claws, all with the same spikes and stings. Mouth. Hidden between the claws. Quite large. And with a huge number of small teeth. Which she, like a meat grinder, chops the prey into small mince. The top of the head is broken by bullets. And you can't see any eyes on it. But they definitely were. The back part looks the scariest. The last 4 pairs of legs cannot be called legs. They look most like huge curved fangs. It is these fangs that the centipede plunges into its prey. When he grabs her with his body in a ring. With poison. You say. Kills. Baring his teeth. I asked Raisa. I don't really believe it. That I would die from poison. Alive. And good. Raisa waved it off. Stop staring at the poor insect's corpse. Get ready. And off they went. It will start to get light soon. It took me about 5 minutes to get ready. I was going to. And grumbled about the poor insect. Poor insect. You have to think of this. We covered a couple of kilometers in one go. We don't have a second thermal imager. They didn't bring any night vision equipment either. I had to go after Raisa. Relying on her instincts. Vision. Experience and most importantly, luck. Just don't run into any animals. At the 3rd kilometer I finally saw a glow in the distance. Understand. Who's there? In what quantity? And what creates light? It doesn't seem possible. You need to make an appointment with an ophthalmologist. And check your eyesight. Or to an ophthalmologist. Although this is one thing. And the same. No animals were encountered. And that makes me happy. Or I just didn't notice it. Raisa skillfully got around him. After another kilometer the rain stopped. And it began to get light. I finally saw the light. I saw it first. That we are on a gently curving field with sparse bushes. And surprisingly low grass. Then I saw it. That's far. About 10 to 15 kilometers from us. Low ones grow on the horizon. Mountains covered with sparse forest. And saw the American camp 3 kilometers ahead quite clearly. There are as many as 4 fires burning. But they turned off the headlights. Using binoculars. You can see more. But we don't have time for binoculars yet. Let's come closer. Then. And let's take a closer look. When the distance was reduced to 1.5 kilometers. It became too dangerous to move around in the open. Having reached a small island. Overgrown with dense bushes. Similar to earthly currants. But without berries. We decided to hide. The camp is clearly visible. Because the terrain continues to descend. That place. Where they came from. And where did Sonia remain? And Bullet. Not visible. The terrain descended all the way. And this is to our advantage. An elevated position is always obviously more advantageous. If it were hilly, it would be a fairy tale. Or even better, mountain. The way back is cut off. Said Raisa. And began to make a bed for herself. We will be here for a long time. Or until the column continues on its way. Or until our people arrive. First. More likely. More likely. I did the same. A couple of minutes. And lay down on a foam camping mat. An indispensable thing. Turning on the radio. Called. Sonia. How do you hear? I hear you well, answered Bodrev. See, I don't see. Me and Bulat strained our eyes no matter how much. But I can't see you. Neither the American camp could. We can see the camp through the monocular. You are not here. Are you disguising yourself? Yes, they've already gone into hiding. The position is not so great. But they are unlikely to notice us. They don't worry too much about camouflage. How is Bakov? Haven't you been in touch? We haven't come out yet. It is unlikely that a connection will be established with the two. Miracles do not happen. Still, more than 100 kilometers. If they are going. Then soon. Maybe. And we'll get in touch. While you were climbing around in the bushes, we installed the most powerful antenna. There's no point. We hear you perfectly. And that's all. Think. That my radio station's range from this point is about 30 kilometers. I wish I could climb higher. Yes, that's risky. Something like that. Got it, got it. I answered, until next time. I already told Raisa. It's bad without a normal connection. Communication is the scourge of this world. She muttered. Dash. And he is not the only one. You told Bodrev something about drones. You can forget about these fairy tales. If drones and exists in this world, then it is simply impossible to get them. We're screwed. Nikita. I didn't answer. He took up the binoculars and began to study the American camp. I'll say it right away. It's unlikely that we encountered any military personnel. The military doesn't work so stupidly. The position for the camp was not chosen from a security point of view. And from the point of view of, stopped. And let it be so. And it will be. The camp is clearly visible from all sides. I'll repeat myself. The military doesn't work like that. I dare to take into account the fact of superiority. And the feeling of absolute security of such a large detachment. But even this does not explain such a stupid approach to choosing a place for the camp. And even more stupid measures to protect it. I don't understand yet. Who are we dealing with? But I'll try to understand it thoroughly. I can say one thing with confidence. The column was moving. I received a command from the boss to stop. And stood up. The equipment was moved a little. Set up a tent camp. And went to bed. Not all. Certainly. They thought of posting sentries. The equipment was deployed haphazardly. 3 buses were parked close to each other. They were blocked in front by armored trucks. Of which there are also 3. One truck has a heavy machine gun on its roof. From the sides. And from behind the buses were surrounded by menacing Humvees. Not Hummers. Namely the Humvee. Newbies. Latest generation. There are 8 of them available. 3 with small caliber automatic guns. 4 with machine guns. 1 with a rocket launcher. ATGM is a serious weapon. They are going to war. Or something. Are you ready? The formation is completed by the M1126 infantry carrier vehicle. It is also known as the American Stryker Armored Personnel Carrier. The only armament on the armored personnel carrier is the M2 Browning machine gun. Only. This machine gun has been serving humanity for a long time. It will soon be 100 years. But they won't send everyone to rest. Modified. And is now called M2A1. Modified why? Yes, because it's good. Here. And that's the whole answer. The tent camp was set up to the right of the equipment. I counted 13 tents in total. Small ones. The smallest ones are double ones. The largest one has 8 seats. The fires burn between the tents at too short a distance. Fuel briquettes were used as fuel for the fires. Stacked in piles next to the fires. There were 9 sentries. 6 people guard the transport. The remaining 3 are wandering around the tent camp. Everything seems quiet. And calmly. I saw the faces of the sentries. Half white. Half of the blacks. African Americans. If you are tolerant. To hell with tolerance. Finished? Raisa asked. The weapon she took with her was a pistol. And Vinterez. Means. We won't shoot. There was a heavy black case left in the trunk of the Audi. Which is unlikely to contain an SVD. Think. That there is something serious there. I hope to hear about it soon. Finished? I nodded. How many did you count? Too much. I answered and began to list. First, buses. Girls. And we don't count children. Each bus has a driver. And at least one security guard. Let's count the minimum. 6 in total. Buses. By the way. Are called Thomas-built buses. Distributed in America. Popular as a school one. These have been finalized. Slightly armored. And all-wheel drive. Next are 3 trucks. And here it is more complicated. They are called MRAPs. He is also Cougar. By the way. Our Typhoons appeared much later. And were designed based on US mistakes. However. We still have plenty of mistakes left. Back to the Cougars. The crew consists of 2 people. The landing compartment has 8 more. So we multiply 10 by 3. There is a possibility. That instead of people there is something loaded there. Not a fact. The total is 36 fighters. Now about the Humvee. And everything is simple with them. Each one has a maximum of 4 people. Total of 32 in all. The last striker. 2 people, crew. 9, landing compartment. 11. Let's calculate the total amount. And we get the number 79. Am I mistaken? In any case, I was wrong. Raisa answered. But that. How good are you with technology? Makes me happy. Let's count. That there are 80 fighters. Company. Nikita. Yes. I nodded. That makes almost a whole company. I can't call them professional soldiers. Rabble. And nothing more. A well-equipped rabble. They don't look like military men. The position is not very good. The security is creepy. The guards are drinking. I saw it all. Nikita. Raisa said quietly. I also agree. That they are not military. And not mercenaries. We'll think about it. And wait for your own. We are not able to compete with them. Sliskum Silny. They are not capable of competing. I agreed, that's why we need to come up with a damn strong plan. And kill this whole gang with minimal losses. At the same time, we need to keep all the equipment in working order. This. You can't call it anything else. Treasure. The striker alone is worth it. About Humvee. And I don't say Cougars. Because you understand everything yourself. Buses will also come in handy. It would make sense to get involved in transporting people. As a last resort, we'll rent it out. Good trophies. We just need to make them trophies. An hour passed. And it became completely light. A light breeze dispersed the clouds. And the sun quickly evaporated the moisture from the light overnight rain. Bodrev and Musin are not in touch. They are waiting for Bakov. The American camp is gradually starting to get busy. Someone is waking up. And someone, vice versa, goes to bed. Understand? Who's in charge? So far it hasn't worked. It seems that he is still sleeping. Buses are not touched. And that makes me happy. We continue to observe. And wait. How are you doing? Bodrev called on air. Everything is fine. I answered, we're lying down. Let's look. We're resting. Think. Take a nap. The Americans are also resting. There was no fuss noticed among them. Seems that they are waiting for something. Maybe. And wait. Bodrev responded. Who knows? At least tell us. How many of them are there? What they are. I told everything in a few minutes. What I managed to see. Understand. And assume. It's turning out to be a funny movie. Sonya said gloomily. Even if Bakov gathers all of ours. Then we won't be able to defeat them. Are there any options? Sabotage is an option. I answered, we're watching. And we don't show ourselves in any way. We can arrange a raid tonight. And get on the Americans' nerves a little. If we capture the language. It's a total fairy tale. We understood everything. And we wait. There's a pack of local hyenas hanging around here near us. Bullet is about to fire. And you listen. About 30 seconds passed. And Sonia spoke again. They shot twice. Subsonic. And with a muffler. Did you hear anything? No. I answered. Means. We will shoot. Sonia said with joy in his voice. End of communication. Don't get lost there. I said finally and put the radio next to the machine gun. They're fussing about something. Raisa whispered. They seem to be getting ready to go somewhere. I picked up the binoculars again. 3 people in shorts and t-shirts are talking about something with a guard sitting on a Humvee. The sentry is armed with an M4A1 assault rifle. His machine gun is hellishly heavy. Because it's terribly covered. There is a muffler. Underbarrel grenade launcher. LCC. And a lantern in one person. Optical sight. And followed by a thermal imager. The sentry's vest is filled with spare magazines. On the belt are pouches with hand grenades. And under barrel. There is a pistol in a hip holster. The sentry has dressed himself well. All. What is listed? Raisa told me. I am convinced once again. That you have eagle eyesight. I said and continued to observe. The trio in shorts began to attach themselves to the sentry. He. Without thinking. Jumped off. And came close to the tall black man. Grabbing him by the t-shirt. Swung. But he didn't hit. The other 2. Whites. Took a step towards the sentry. A verbal altercation began. The sentry pushed the black man away and proudly puffed out his chest. Started broadcasting something. The black man rushed at the sentry. Received a sharp punch in the face. And fell down on the grass like a sack. Something is brewing. I muttered, looks like it. That the sentry is still a warrior. I have an idea. That there is a dual contingent in the group. Raisa spoke. About 30% are military or mercenaries. And the rest? More likely. From former prisoners. Bright Future often uses a similar scheme. Prisoners need girls. And there is no doubt about it. Hourly. Mercenary warrior. Resists. He has a mission. Doesn't want to. So that the goods are damaged. The scheme has a right to exist. I answered. The whites did not try to resist the sentry and grab the black man. They dragged him towards the tents. The guard calmly climbed onto the hood of the Humvee. Took out a cigarette. And began to blow smoke. Other sentries. Less armed. They didn't pay any attention to the squabble. It was as if they didn't notice her in the camp either. Note. Nikita. The hours are different. Said Raisa. 3. That guard the camp. Definitely not warriors. One can barely stand on his feet. And here are those. That they are guarding the equipment. More seriously. At least. 4. 2 of them don't look like warriors either. It wouldn't hurt to come closer. I answered, then it will be clear. Look. Raisa exclaimed unexpectedly. Half a kilometer to the right of the camp. They blend well with the grass. But you can see it. 7 hyenas. Search. Nikita. I started looking for hyenas. I'll find it and recognize it. What do they look like? Hope. That they are not very vicious animals. The hyenas weren't found too easily. They are greenish. Blending perfectly with the grass. Camouflage on level. I wouldn't be surprised. That can change color. And adapt to the environment. Local animals love to mimic. Well done. Raisa. Noticed. Hyenas look exactly the same. How? And earthly brothers. Only the coloring is different. But the body shape is the same. They will be larger in size. About 1.5 times more. Dangerous predators. However, they are not at all dangerous for machine guns. I see. And I watch. I said, large hyenas in this world. But compare with the centipede. Wanting to devour me. They can't. The centipede is so creepy. And these. So. The dogs are harmless. Well, I wouldn't say so. Raisa responded. It's better to meet one centipede than 7 chameleon hyenas. I noticed them by accident. If the sentries in the camp don't notice, they won't find it a little. The hyenas had about 200 meters left to run to the camp. And they haven't been noticed yet. When the distance was reduced to 100 meters, the hyenas were still not noticed. They slowed down. They moved apart a little and bent down. Continued the offensive. Are these chameleon hyenas aggressive predators? I asked. Yes. Aggressive. Raisa answered. They attack only in packs. Always on people. For small animals too. They eat a lot. And constantly. Like the brugar you killed. That. Truth. It will be more serious. However. They say. That a pack of 10 hyenas can wear down even a brugara. The local animals have one indestructible feature. It eats everything. And that's all. Even herbivores are called such only conditionally. They don't disdain meat. The hyenas reached the tents. And lay down. This action made them completely invisible. Looked at the camp. And couldn't find them anymore. Bad animals. Very bad animals. It makes me happy. That they can do a good job. Are they attacking the camp? I asked with a degree of surprise. Unlikely. Raisa answered. More likely. A couple of tents. Each creature will seize its victim. And will run away. They are not stupid. They know. That people are predators too. And know how to kill from a distance. I got to thinking. And decided to ask. We are lying here. We're relaxing. What prevents the same hyenas from approaching us? And eat us? Actually. Nothing. Raisa responded with cold calm. They might eat us. And we won't be able to do anything. It is dangerous to be so far from the villages without transport. Even near villages it is dangerous. There are plenty of creatures. It's during the day. I muttered, and at night. We walked through these fields at night. Does anyone even do this? Complete psychos. Like us. They do. Raisa answered. But usually they don't live long. We are a different matter. The situation forces it. Yeah, right. The prospect of being eaten doesn't make me happy. My imagination instantly conjured up a centipede. Attacking from behind. He turned around mechanically. But there is nothing there except bushes. The bushes are dense. And even a rabbit won't be able to crawl along them silently. There is no need to be afraid. Conditionally. Certainly. The main thing is not to think about the centipede. The hyenas lay motionless for about 10 minutes. And then rushed into the attack. They chose 2 tents as their target. Tear the fabric. And it was not difficult for them to get inside. First one. 6-person tent. Fell. When the second hyena got into it. Fell. And began to rise. And shake. There is a struggle inside her. The other 2 hyenas decided not to go inside. But simply grabbed the fabric of the tent. And tore it apart. Second tent. 4-seater. Fell almost right after the first one. But only one hyena got inside. And the other 2 started to tear from the outside. The camp exploded. Not in the literal sense. Certainly. Panic swept through him from the scene of the attack in a wave. Other tents also collapsed. A frightened person is a bad person. He doesn't understand at all. Sentinels. Guarding transport. Jumped on the hoods of the Humvees. And began to look for targets. The sentries in the camp rushed towards the transport. The people who managed to escape from the tents rushed after them. What a pity that nothing can be heard. Or maybe it stands there looking terrible. The hyenas paid no attention to the commotion. All who was inside the tents died safely. This can be seen from the red-stained fabric of the tents. Each hyena grabbed a person in its teeth without releasing the grip. With a skillful movement, she threw the victim onto her back and ran away. About 20 seconds have passed since the attack, and the 7 hyenas are already running away, each with breakfast on the back of their neck. That's pretty cool. Holy scoundrels, I muttered and then exclaimed. Here you go. And hunting. Here you go. And scavengers. 7 to the next world, how can I say hello? Or maybe. And not 7. Maybe. There were more of them there. Maybe. Sycophants. Raisa asked. No. I answered, these don't look like sycophants. They are scoundrels. And besides, they are far from saints. By the moment when they realized it at the camp, who attacked them? And who to shoot? The hyenas managed to run away about 150 meters. And began to separate. 2 of them headed in our direction. 2 ran in the opposite direction from us. And 3 continued to run straight. Only 2 sentries opened fire. One of the M249 machine guns. The second one is the same sentry with the M4A1 machine gun. Terribly hung with all sorts of nonsense. Hyenas. Hearing the sound of gunshots, as if on cue, they began to dart from side to side, trying to knock the aim off course. Smart creatures. I exclaimed, it will be difficult to hit them. At least 10 more shooters joined in shooting the fleeing hyenas over the next 20 seconds. But no one managed to get in. The distance is rapidly increasing. And the bullets just go into the void. They're wasting their bullets, said Raisa. They won't get them. Just catch up. I finally saw the main thing. He looks like the well-known actor Dolph Lundgren. When he was about 40 years old. The same tall blonde guy. With the same hairstyle. And the same rude face. You can't see it in detail. But even through binoculars one can discern the Nordic appearance. Viking of modern times. No other way. Do you see the main thing? Raisa asked. He looks exactly like Lundgren. At first I thought. What is he? Yes, he's too young. That one is already over 60. It looks like it. I smiled. You can see it better than me. Let's call him Dolph in quotes. Vacationers. How do you hear? Asked the radio in Bodrov's distorted voice. We hear you well. I responded. Let's lie down. And we continue to rest. We are looking at Dolph Lundgren. Whom? Sonia was surprised. We'll tell you later. I answered. Any news? Has Bakov been in touch? He left. That's why. And called you. About 20 to 30 minutes. And they will be near us. We're waiting. How many of them are there? Sasha. 6 cars. Only 21 people. Zubar. And his guys with him. Well. And ours. Osipov. Kuznetsov. Barkova. Efimenko. Well, you get the idea. Phew. Sash. They'll arrive. Then call. We'll think about it. We will continue to observe for now. Fine. Sonia answered. End of communication. And Bakov. And shouldn't Efimenko be in Svetli? I asked Raisa. They were supposed to return tonight. We're back. Means. I picked up the binoculars again. Dolph managed to build fighters. And gives commands. The crowd turns out to be quite large. Most of them are still in their underwear. Some people dress hastily. Hyenas with victims on the back of their necks are clearly visible. Especially 2 that are running towards us. 5 to 7 minutes. And they will get there. No more looping. They move their paws well. Nobody tries to shoot at them. To fight the hyenas, Dolph decided to send a Humvee with machine guns. He selected 9 fighters who had managed to equip themselves well. He quickly said something to them. And they rushed to the cars. Less than a minute. And the menacing Humvees rushed off to hunt. It can be counted that the hyenas ran away. Machine guns certainly won't leave them a chance. I just figured it out in my mind. Raisa began to speak quickly. 2 hyenas. Running towards us. Will be within shooting distance in about 5 minutes. If they don't change their trajectory, they will go to the left or right by at least 200 meters. And I won't get it. They'll run straight towards us. And I'll take it off easily. But I won't shoot them. I'd rather wait. When the Humvee catches up with them. And shoot with a machine gun. He will catch up with them in 3 to 5 minutes. Depending on that. How the driver will press the gas. If the Humvee gets within firing range, I will shoot. You're chattering a lot. I was surprised and asked. Do you want to take the car? Yes. Raisa nodded. Looking at the field. Then on me. We'll capture it. And we'll move towards our own. They will understand. What's happened? Americans nod right away. And this will give us a decent head start. The whole crowd certainly won't try to catch up. Pustat bisold Peru trojku hambi odobemsa takaj to tolpoi. Let the Americans be nervous. It's good for them. I got you. I answered dryly, don't shoot right away. Just shoot. If the Humvee is within range of an accurate shot. We need to understand. Whether it is armored or not. If the machine gunner notices us. We won't even have time to blink. It will be riddled with holes. And bushes. And us too. One of the hyenas began to lag behind. Black. Like a firebrand. Black person. On top of that, he was covered in tattoos from head to crown. It clearly weighs more than 100. The hyena itself is not much heavier. The burden is heavy. And the animal still gets tired. The second hyena is dragging a white, bald man in bright orange shorts on the back of his neck. The man weighs at most 60 to 65 kilograms. It will be an order of magnitude lighter than a black man. The lagging hyena will soon die. But the one who has broken ahead has a chance to reach us. No more than 200 meters to the lagging one. I said, estimating the speed of the Humvee. He'll start shooting soon. It will drive up almost right next to us. And then he will shoot. Said Raisa. From a distance he won't want to. More precisely. They won't want to. There are 3 of them. Raisa didn't guess. The M2A1 machine gun roared. When there were about 150 meters left to the hyena. The shooter missed by about 15 meters to the left. The hyena began to loop again. The shooter fired a couple more short bursts. And gave up trying to get the hyena from a distance. The Humvee is moving slowly. I said, it's armored. On the roof there is an M2A1 machine gun with an armor plate. Covering the shooter. Can you hit the target right in the head? I won't shoot. Raisa answered sharply. I can't penetrate the armor. The capture of the enemy transport is cancelled. As you say. I muttered not much. And I wanted to. Hyena. Which went ahead. Will soon come running to us. She has about 300 meters left to us. It can now be seen clearly through binoculars. A dangerous beast. The second hyena is almost twice as far away. The Humvee almost caught up with her. And very soon will be able to press. It's going to fire now. Raisa said. And the machine gun roared. A large caliber burst began to tear the beast apart. I saw how the bullet tore off the hind leg. And then blew apart the dead black man's head. The Humvee slowed down. And stopped 20 meters from the fallen beast. The machine gunner continued firing. Transforming the corpse of a black man. And the hyena into a pile of minced meat. Idiots. I hissed. The machine gun finally fell silent. The passenger quickly jumped out of the Humvee and onto the street. And gestured to the driver in the direction of the second hyena. The black driver nodded. And the car moved off with difficulty. The passenger, a white, healthy man in sand camouflage, walked briskly towards the fallen hyena. Take it off. If needed. I asked. Are you crazy? Raisa answered in surprise. At least 600 meters to it. I won't take it from Vinterez. The live hyena still went to the left of us. About 100 meters. No less. It's unlikely he'll notice. And if he notices or feels, then he won't pay attention. Now she has other goals in life. Trying to survive. And save the loot. The first is still more important. What a pity. That she doesn't understand it. Now is the shortest distance from us to the hyena, said Raisa. And began to prepare the rifle for shooting. I'll break her leg. Risky. But there is no other way. There is still a chance to capture enemy transport. Main. So that they get out of the car. I decided to remain silent. What's the point of saying anything? And even more so to dissuade. And besides, I'm interested. What will come out of all this? You'll be lucky. And we'll drive off to our own in a Humvee with a chase on our tail. No luck. Means. No luck. Means. We're not going anywhere. And we won't leave. Raisa took aim for quite a long time. I watched. And waited. About 15 seconds passed. And Vinterez squealed. Up close he's not so quiet. But still. The ears do not suffer. It was not possible to hit the leg. The bullet went higher. And stopped somewhere at the back of the hyena. Almost at the pelvis. The animal stumbled. Released the prey. Ran a few meters on its front legs by inertia. Fell on its side. And began to spin like a top. You broke her spine. I said. The back legs came unfastened. I missed. Raisa answered with annoyance. We might get spotted. Do you see the blood on the grass? No. I answered. All I see is the hyena fluttering. Visibility is not very good. If from a great distance everything was visible perfectly. Now then. When it was reduced to 150 meters. Visibility has deteriorated. The terrain does not degrade over such a short period. Little can be seen. The Humvee is clearly visible. He continues to ride towards the hyena. It seems like they didn't notice us. The machine gunner opened fire from 100 meters. It's not hard to hit a hyena twitching in the grass. And he got there. More than once. Moreover. The beast died from the first hit. The following ones simply don't make sense. The other hyenas have already been killed. Raisa reported. Look. I quickly found the other two Humvees. Up to 1 kilometer, 2.5. There is almost no other visible. He went far away. Both stand still. The fighters are hanging around nearby. Trophies are examined and it seems. Take photos against their background. The photographers are unfinished. Said Raisa. With such an approach to business, they certainly won't last long in this world. Everyone takes pictures next to the killed animals. For those who feel like it. There are 2 more Humvees heading towards them from the camp and most likely. For the same purpose. Everyone needs photos. Fighter. Remaining near the hyena 600 meters away from us. He also took out his smartphone. And takes a selfie with minced meat in the background. The last Humvee pulled up to the hyena. Shot by Raisa. Almost right next to each other. And stopped. The black driver turned off the engine. And went outside. The machine gunner remained behind the machine gun. He just turns his head. Mexican. Judging by his face. Young. Only about 20 years old. I'm keeping the driver in my sights. Raisa whispered. Can you take out the machine gunner? No. Quiet. And I quickly answered, I might miss. It's better you. Or better yet, let's wait. What if he decides to go out too? We're waiting. Raisa agreed. The black driver looked at the hyena for about 3 seconds. And then began to look around suspiciously. Turning around. Looked straight at us. He's looking at us. Scared. But I cried out quietly, "Shoot." Raisa fired. And the driver fell. The bullet hit the head. And easily pierced it right through. A second shot followed. Raisa hit the machine gunner. But definitely not in the head. In the neck or shoulder. I didn't have time to see it. I only saw the black top. Missing in the hatch of a Humvee. It caught me a little. Raisa said fearfully. I definitely didn't kill her. I thought for a moment. And then moved into action. Jumped up. And ran straight towards the Humvee. He ran like that. Like I've never run in my life. He didn't even run that fast from the centipede. After all, it depends on my speed now. Whether we will survive or not. If the machine gunner gets behind the wheel. And will go. Then we definitely won't be able to get it. But they will get us soon. I ran the first 100 meters in about 11 seconds. And could easily get a first class in running. And this is with a machine gun. And this after all. What happened to me? Master of Sports can be awarded. I didn't run as briskly the remaining 50 meters. But with the same fury. When there were only a few meters left to the Humvee. He started up. And moved off gently. It didn't stop me. I didn't understand it myself. How he managed to jump onto the rear bumper. And quickly climb onto the roof of the armored car. Here is the machine gun. Here is the hatch. Through which it is easy to get into the salon. There is blood on the hatch. Lots of blood. There is also blood in the cabin. The Humvee won't accelerate. He stops slowly. I carefully looked into the hatch. And saw a Mexican. He buried his head in the steering wheel. And clamps his neck with both hands. There is so much blood. Raisa is a good shot after all. It hit me in the neck. Strong Mexican. Once, with a severed artery, I was able to reach the steering wheel. But the fortress was not enough to leave. I couldn't do that. I climbed out through the passenger door onto the street. And pulled the Mexican out of the driver's seat. There is no point in talking to him. He's about to die. Raisa reached the Humvee completely calmly. And with the same calmness she sat down in the passenger seat. He stained everything here with his blood. She said discontentedly. Tenacious. Bastard. She pointed at the steering wheel with disgust. And asked. Take something off the dead man. And wipe away the blood. They still don't notice us. That fool still takes pictures with minced meat. Fool. And he really does continue to take selfies with minced meat. But now again. And smokes. Everything is still the same in the camp. They are taking photos. And other killed hyenas. Single photos. And group. They don't care about us. I didn't take the clothes off the corpses. A wet one was found on the back seat. And a dirty t-shirt. As best I could. So. And wiped away the blood. It got better. The black driver came out into the street with a gun. I didn't dare leave my brand new G36 assault rifle in the field. It costs a lot. What a pity. That belongs to Raisa. A good trophy. There is also a Galil assault rifle in the cabin. And she. More likely. Belonged to a Mexican. And now it also belongs to Raisa. This wasn't the first time I got behind the wheel of a Humvee. I've known about the car since Syria. The militants recaptured one Humvee from the Americans. And then we took it back from the militants. He was old. Open top. And an engine that is too noisy. Having ridden it. And calming the Russian soul. We sold it to the Syrians for a symbolic sum. A couple of days later, the Syrians were attacked by militants. And the Humvee was back with them. And a week later the militants were caught by the Americans. And the Humvee was returned to its rightful owners. The Humvee's merry way of life in war turned out to be. This Humvee is completely different from that one. Newbie. Armored. And more comfortable. It will be more interesting. No matter how you look at it. Have you driven a Humvee? Raisa asked. We headed towards the American camp. We need to take the language. He stopped taking photos. Sitting on the grass. Smokes. And admires nature. Will be surprised soon. I drove an old trophy one. I answered, it makes no difference. It was even more difficult that way. But the engine on that one was more responsive. This one is armored after all. Discussing the pros and the disadvantages of American transport. We arrived at the right place. A white giant in sand camouflage sits with his back to us. And continues to blow smoke. Clearly this isn't his first smoke. There was no limit to the surprise. When he saw us, I was speechless. But he opened his mouth wide. I said it in English. Drop your weapon. And lie down face down in the grass. Do it. The big guy didn't think for long. And then he took off an assault rifle that was hanging on his shoulder, unknown to me. And threw her a good 2 meters to the side. Continuing to be amazed. Quickly lay down on the grass face down. And folded his hands behind his head. The packing procedure has begun. The rope was not immediately found. That's why I had to cut it down. Shira. How do you feel? Raisa called on air. The captured tongue is in the trunk. Tied hands. And legs with a rope. Which was found there. In the trunk. We are not driving fast. Because it's not too far to go. The standard radio was turned off, just to be on the safe side. To us, ours. Portable. Enough. Shira hears well. Bodrev responded. What's that hum you're making? What are you talking about? On the train. In an armored train. Raisa answered. There's a huge cap in the cabin. Under which there is a diesel engine. And automatic transmission. The armored train is moving quite well. The soundproofing just needs some work. So. Stand. Sonia shouted excitedly into the air. I'm watching the Humvee. Who is coming to us? Is that you? We. Sasha. Who else? Raisa answered with a smile. We captured one by accident. And I also got the language to boot. The hyenas helped. What hyenas? Bodrev asked with bewilderment. Dash. And what language? What are you talking about? Did you make a foray into the camp? We'll tell you. When we arrive. Sash. Don't stand still there with Bullet. Go meet our people. And think. How can we stop the chase? They should come up with something by the time we arrive. The chase will be on the same ones. Like ours. Humvee. But. More likely. Equipped with small caliber guns. And large caliber machine guns. I gave you a task. Do it. End of communication. Over and out. Bodrev muttered. I'm driving at a measured pace. I keep the speedometer at almost 40 miles. The Humvee has a duplicate speedometer. And there are kilometers there. The speed is exactly 60 kilometers per hour. There is no point in going any further. The presence of armor gives an increase in weight. And she. In turn. Smooth running. The Humvee doesn't jump. Have you ever ridden a tiger? Raisa asked. I nodded. I had the chance to sit behind the wheel of a tiger for more time than driving a Humvee. Everything is the same. At war. And how is he? If you compare tiger and Humvee, then who will win? The question is a bit complicated. I answered, both vehicles are military. And their goals are similar. But they are fundamentally different. The Humvee is larger in size. But there is little space in it. As you can see. And it weighs little. The Tiger looks smaller. But almost twice as heavy. More spacious. And better protected. If you have to choose between the two. Then I will give preference to Tiger without hesitation. He is more familiar. And I like it more. Yes. And he is better. Tiger is my choice. Final. And irrevocable. And the wolf? Raisa asked. Have you seen such a car? I met her at a technology exhibition. It was a long time ago. A 6-wheeled machine. Healthy. And brutal. How do you like him? Wolf. What kind of wolf is this? Familiar. Oh damn. Forgot. I read about the wolf. But I didn't see it. It didn't happen. Looking at Raisa. Answered. I've only seen wolves in pictures. I can't say anything about him. View yes. I agree. Severe. It weighs. Like 2 tigers. It seems it didn't go into production. They didn't think it was necessary. Apparently. I would like to take a ride. But it wasn't meant to be. We'll use a Humvee. Dreaming about tigers. And wolves. Raisa didn't ask about cars anymore. I took a rifle that was unknown to me and was lying on the box. Which we got from the language. And began to examine her. I haven't even held a rifle in my hands. There are some inscriptions on it. Think. They will tell. What kind of weapons did we get? When Raisa had looked at the rifle to her heart's content, I decided to ask. What is written on it? You don't know. What is it called? Raisa was surprised. I shook my head. We're about to arrive at the place where I was almost eaten by a centipede. Musin and Bodrev left. You are our walking encyclopedia. Nikita. Raisa smiled. I didn't think so. That there is something. What you don't know. You exaggerated with the encyclopedia. I laughed. An amateur. And nothing more. I read a lot. And good memory. This rifle is similar to the FN Scar. But it's not him. The rifle says, Beretta ARX 160. Does this name mean anything to you? I nodded. Speaks. And quite a lot at that. I read about her. But I see it for the first time. This is an Italian assault rifle. Very dear. More likely. Fires NATO cartridges. Although. You can't tell from the store. That NATO 556. Not a Kalashnikov magazine. Accidentally. I think my Alaska 15 has exactly the same one. Raisa, after a few manipulations, unfastened the magazine and nodded. Answered. That's him. Cartridge 762X39. Modification for our cartridge. Good car. I smiled. Pendos. Taken by us. Not so simple. He knows. What are the most common cartridges? He needs to be thanked for the gift. Beretta doesn't make bad guns. Think. That I will soon have the opportunity to test this rifle. Raisa said thoughtfully. And continued to study her trophy. Dash. And you will have it too. Who will like it? Togo. And it will be. But keep this in mind. That girls need to give in. About 5 minutes. And we saw ours. They stood on a hillock. They didn't stand up that well. There's definitely no plan here. We were driving. Saw Musin driving towards them. And Bodrev. And stopped. There are 6 cars parked in front of us. The 7th Sonina Audi. She stood with her back to us. Such a cute butt. After all, Audi knows how to make beautiful cars. Especially station wagons. And especially RS. Of all the vehicles, only Zubar's French Hummer inspires any seriousness. AKA Renault Sherpa 2. Compared to the Humvee, it looks nicer. But unlike it, it is not armored. Well. And the machine gun on the roof is not so serious. There is also a second such Frenchman. But it has a small caliber gun installed on it. Due to its inoperability, they decided not to take the car with them. There will be no use from it. And Renault is more serious than Humvee. Said Raisa. Looks older. Higher, it seems. What a pity. That is not armored. Yes. Renault is nicer. I agreed, but. And it can't compare with the Tiger. We were greeted with surprise on their faces. Only Bakov. And Zubar frown. Musin. And Nugumanov clap their hands. Kuznetsov is sitting on the grass. Smokes a cigarette. And looks at the captured Humvee from under his brows. Sashka Bodrev. And Iluka Osipov listened attentively to Maxim Efimenko's story. Not forgetting to look at us. There is no plan in development. And speeches. Are we going to evaluate the trophy? Raisa asked joyfully. And jumped to the ground. I got out of the car after her. And headed towards the trunk. Everyone is waiting for the story. And Raisa decided to please the people. Bakov. Toothache. And Efimenko's story is not very interesting. They came up to me. Andreyka put his hand on the trunk. And said. Before you open it. Answer one question. Was it difficult? I smiled. Shook his head. And answered. It's as easy as pie. Only my legs hurt. I had to run around. But later it turned out that way. That could have been done without. And without it. Open up. Zubar demanded. I opened the trunk of the Humvee with some simple manipulations. His is not wide. But quite spacious. The American we captured didn't feel cramped. He hasn't come to his senses yet. They overdid it. However. Are we not changing the plan? Looking at the American. Asked Zubar. No. Answered Bakov. No. Efimenko added. Then let's drag him to my car. Zubar began to command. You. Nikita. With us. Nugumanov will go to the trophy. The route is known. Taking a breath. He barked. To the cars. We moved the tongue to the back seat of the Renault Zubar. On the right. And Maxim sat to his left. And Andreyka. I sat in the front passenger seat. Zubar takes the wheel. The column moved off. And slowly crawled in the opposite direction. Hope. That is not in the village of Devoyka. Tell me briefly. What's happened? Asked Bakov. I recounted our expedition in a minute. 9 killed is already good. Said Zubar. Maybe. More. If the hyenas didn't screw up. Our tongue. After he tells everything. Will be the 10th. What's the plan? I asked. Max. And Andreyka are trying to bring the tongue to its senses. Moans. But refuses to regain consciousness. The plan is simple. Zubar answered. We're going to Pan's former camp. And we strengthen ourselves there. We're waiting. When the chase appears. If it appears at all. We'll post a guard at a respectable distance. Sasha's Audi shoots pretty well. And she will escape the chase playfully. The whole plan. The plan is so-so. I muttered, we're risking Sasha's Audi. And to themselves. The Americans have a lot of guns. And they shoot far away. And machine guns in abundance. If the hyenas were shot at out of surprise. And fear. Then they will be ready to meet us. You've come to your senses. Maxim Efimenko announced joyfully. Well. Pendos. Shall we talk? The American looks bad. We didn't really beat up his face. And here is the head. Seems like. Shook. And at the same time specifically. Why did Raisa hit him so hard? Turning your head. The American looks at us all with a surprised look. Gradually, surprise gives way to anger. He started twitching. Trying to free myself. I tied him up seriously. There is no chance of getting free. Maxim Efimenko poked the American with his finger somewhere in the area of the liver. And he howled like that. That I had to cover my ears. Yelling. He started whining. The anger in the eyes disappeared. I can do even worse tricks. Maxim said in English, pointing at us. Added. They will be scarier than me. Just in case. Let's talk anyway. Think. And preferably quickly. Bakov put his arm around the American's shoulders. And asked kindly. You have a name. Man. Silas Stevens. The American answered quietly. Already good. Maxim smiled. New question. Who are you? And what are you doing in this world? Mercenary. Silas answered just as quietly. We have a mission. We must deliver the goods. You've got a talkative one. I said and winked at the American. His face changed. Looking at me full of hatred. And a look of contempt. Yelled. You will be the first. I'll kill you. I'll cut off your dick. And I'll make you eat it. You just don't understand. Who are you attacking? You are all dead. Silas didn't have time to finish. Max hit with his elbow. And there was a loud crunch. The nose is broken. There is no need to doubt it. He is right about one thing. Bakov chuckled. We're all going to die. Someone earlier. And some later. No one has ever been able to cheat death. Blood gushes from Silas's crooked nose. The blow was good. Well. Has your arrogance diminished? I asked, ready to continue. Silas. After thinking. Nodded. I asked. How many of you are there in total? What kind of cargo are you carrying? And where to? There are 75 of us. Whined. Silas replied. We must deliver the cargo to the city of Jericho. Where is the city located? We don't know. The load is the equipment. The product is girls. And children. You. Guys. You don't understand anything. We work for a serious organization. You are right about that. I nodded. We don't understand anything. But we can try to understand. If you tell everything. Silas. In your case, one thing is important. Whether you will survive or not. This is what should worry you most. Got it? To be honest. I'm shocked by my own tone. I would never have thought that I can pretend to be such a dangerous villain. Silas stopped looking at me with hatred. Now there is only fear in his eyes. Did it really break that quickly? Are you Russian? Silas asked with trembling lips. I nodded slowly. And answered. We are Russian. There is nothing left of the stern uncle. And a trace. Between the side. And Efimenko sits with his hands tied. And healthy legs. Scared to death. That we are Russian. It finally finished him off. Seems. Is about to burst into tears. Bakov is quiet. But he asked insistently. You start telling. Silas. Start from the very beginning. Tell us. Who are you? What I've been doing all my life. And what fate brought me to this world. We are waiting. Silas. I. Ask. I'll try. Silas answered quietly. He looked at Bakov. Then he cast a frightened glance at Maxim. And then he started looking at me again. Just say it already. Zubar roared. And for the first time showed the American his creepy, grinning face. Enough already. Silas began to tell his story. Fast. And it's not entirely clear. But we got the general idea. Nasty. Silas is originally from the USA. More precisely. From California. He is only 29 years old. Although he looks like he's in his 40s. The same applies to the military. How I feel about Luftwaffe pilots. Not a warrior. He's a prisoner. Robbery. And has been involved in robbery since childhood. And at 22 years old he ended up in prison. It wasn't just for fun that he got here. And received a life sentence. He managed to sit there for less than 7 years. And then died. Well, how did he die? The death was staged. His. Silas. And many others were sent to the next world conditionally. The death was recorded in the documents. But in fact they were transported to some island. Which one? No one knew. Silas. And several thousand more just like them. Like him. Lived on this island under guard for almost 6 months. They were fed well. Dressed. And even trained. They just didn't say anything. Sometimes serious men would come to the island. Held a competition. And took a couple dozen former prisoners to the mainland. Silas was making guesses. How? And all the rest. But no one knew the truth. One of those days, Silas was taken away. Besides him, another 64 people were selected. Everyone was loaded onto a small ship. And it took almost a month to transport by ocean. No one knew where they were taken. I assumed. What to Europe? The most interesting part has begun. Camp again. And again completely normal living conditions. They feed. They dress. And train. There are now a lot of trainings. Instructors. And several guards took several prisoners each. They were taken to a special training ground. And there they were taught military affairs. In 3 months, Silas learned to shoot quite well. And felt like a professional military man. At a certain point, Silas and the rest were told that the training is completed. And they can start working soon. A stern uncle in a formal suit spoke. That gave them a second life. And in return demands absolutely nothing. The training lasted a couple of weeks. It was explained to Silas that they will be commanded by professional mercenaries. And they themselves are now mercenaries. They also explained that with the help of portals they will all be sent to another world. Few believed it. But after evidence was presented, the opinion changed. After analyzing a not very long story by Silas Stevens, we came to the following conclusions. A well-known company called Bright Future carried out a large-scale transfer, of which we found ourselves as accidental witnesses. The amount of equipment is already known. Now the exact number of fighters is known. And girls with children. Those held hostage. And are goods for the city of Jericho. There are 47 children. There are more than twice as many girls. There are 102 of them. No more than 10 were allowed to be used to meet needs. Which suited the prisoners quite well in that world. But in this world they immediately changed their minds. And a small conflict ensued. Which was subsequently settled. There are 65 prisoners. Mercenaries. Professional mercenaries. 10. But they are the ones who are in charge of everything. The main one is called Adam Olofsson. And by nationality he is Swedish. He is the one who looks terribly similar to the actor Dolph Lundgren. And behind his back everyone calls him Dolph. You could say so. That everything is bad. But in reality everything is a little better. Hyenas killed 9 prisoners. And that makes me happy. We killed 2 more. 11 in total. Another thing is not encouraging. The prisoners planned to kill the mercenaries this morning. But a raid of hyenas prevented them. While the mercenaries are alive. We are doing well. The hostages will not be touched. Without mercenaries, things will be completely messed up. There is hope. That the redistribution of power has not yet happened. What are we going to do with him? I asked in Russian. Pointing at Silas. What do you suggest? Bakov answered with a question. About 10 minutes. And we will come. We can decide there. Yes, we need to take him down. Zubar, sitting behind the wheel, muttered. He told me everything. What's the point of leaving them alive? Decide for yourself. I said and started looking out the window. Just not here. We'll arrive at the camp. And decide there. Don't know. For what purpose did Pan build the camp? But it was built with dignity. A lot of money was poured in. And all this in secret. Nobody knew about the existence of the camp. They built a camp in the lowland. Formed by 4 low hills. Overgrown with bushes. Single trees. Similar to earthly oaks. And tall, tough grass. The camp is not very well hidden from the casual observer. But. And there are almost no random observers in these parts. And if they met. Then they hardly had time to get away. The territory chosen for the camp was not very large. The square is slightly larger than a hectare. All of this was surrounded by a concrete fence almost 2 meters high. Only the fence posts are made of concrete. And the basis. The space between the pillars was filled with cinder blocks half the thickness. There are 2 gates. And they are parallel to each other. One gate is small. Single leaf. Welded from a corner. And covered with thin iron. The second ones are very wide. About 6 meters. Bivalve. And are used as the main ones. Also made from corner. And sheets of iron. Painted with gray paint. The camp territory was improved as much as possible. They were mowing the grass. And even planted a few trees. They started building towers around the perimeter. But they didn't make it in time. Only the foundation for them with steel-embedded parts was poured. Material is available. And it will not be difficult to complete the construction. There are few buildings on the territory. But they are all good quality. 2 single-story timber barracks. Each of which can easily accommodate 100 fighters. 1 garage with 7 spacious boxes. You can't drive a truck. But the Ural will enter with ease. A couple of good quality houses. Simple. 30 squares each. But with everything you need inside. Warehouse. Almost completely filled with building materials. Small workshop. From which you can easily turn into an excellent auto repair shop. Dig a hole or weld a hydraulic lift. The first one will be easier. No matter how you look at it. I like the camp. The same Maxes are still on duty in the camp. And Lenya. Who accompanied us to the place where the column left the portal in an old UAZ. Opening the gate. They led us into the territory. And closed them. Bodrev. How? And came to an agreement. Together with Pasha Kuznetsov, we remained at the 10-kilometer mark of the route to greet the guests. They chose a good location. The appearance of the enemy will be seen much earlier than he does to them. Bakov got out of the car. And began to give commands. I and Maxim Efimenko dragged Silas towards the garage with the aim of locking him inside the box. Dragging it along. Checked the nodes. Were convinced of their strength. And for reliability, they handcuffed him to a heavy gasoline generator. They didn't check the pockets. Because Raisa checked them in the field. There was definitely nothing left there after her. Maybe. Make a slave out of him. Maxim suggested. Looking at the captive. We need labor. Tajiks. And the locals can't take it all out. Sometimes the work that has to be done is dangerous. If such a person dies. Then it's not a pity. I shrugged. Squatted in front of Silas. And spoke English. You have 2 options. The first one is easy. And almost painless. The second one is difficult. Full of pain. And suffering. Which one will you choose? Silas blinked. Without understanding. What am I talking about? Let me briefly outline the prospects. I continued, easy. And painlessly, it's a bullet in the head. We'll kill you. When you least expect it. You won't understand. That he died. More likely. We'll kill you in your sleep. Option 2, you will become a slave. You'll come back to that. Which I left not long ago. Imprisoned for life. But you will have to work. We are not crazy and like fascists. We won't mock. But you understand yourself. Slavery is not easy. Silas burst into tears. Ready. Want. Will. I will be a slave. Leaving the captive. We returned to our own. And immediately went into circulation. You. Bakov looked at me. Any suggestions? Who knows? I answered honestly, it depends on the offers. You can play a fool. For a fool. Zubar was surprised. How is that? It's as easy as pie. I smiled. We're pretending. That they didn't see anything. And we don't know anything. The problem is in the tracks. And in that. That the captured Humvee is ours. It will be difficult to play dumb. All in all. What is he talking about? Asked Bakov Zubar. Or am I missing something? What fool? He's just a fool himself. Here. And that's the whole answer. Bakov waved it off. And headed towards the captured Humvee. No changes. We are expecting guests. And we act as problems arise. Raisa looked at Iluka Osipov. And asked sternly. Where is my case? And he. Osipov was confused. He's in Reno. Zubar answered. I didn't forget to move it. Thank you. Raisa smiled. And went to Reno. Standing next to the Humvee. Bakov had already pulled out the trophy Beretta. And looks at her with interest. Put it down. Until my arms were torn off. Raisa threatened. Not your property. Not to you. And use. It doesn't hurt. And I wanted to. Bakov waved it off. And threw the rifle back into the Humvee. Nick. Went. Maxim Efimenko called me. And headed towards one of the houses. Without turning around. Added. Dash. And you. Andriusha. With us. We need to talk. The house is used for living. And it looks quite decent inside. Furniture to a minimum. But there is comfort. Purely. What's most important? Max sat down at the table by the small window. Picked up the thermos. Shook him and chuckled contentedly. Started pouring tea into mugs. Bakov sprawled in his chair. I handed him the mug. And sat down next to Maxim. The tea has cooled down considerably. Rather strong. And without sugar. But you can drink it. When there is no fish. As they say. How do you expect to compete with this whole gang? Asked Maxim. I chuckled. Well. And you have questions. Do I want to compete or do we all? And why are you asking me? You had more time to think than I did. All in all. The plan is as follows. Bakov spoke. You. Nikita. Do you want to keep the equipment? Alas. But this is unrealistic. Answer one question. What is more important? Technology or the life of any of us? The question is idiotic. I answered. A long beep came from the street. Someone has arrived. It definitely doesn't sound like Bodrov's Audi. The signal on that one will be more serious. Pneumatic. Without finishing. We went outside. The gates have already opened. And a blue first-generation Toyota RAV4 flew into the area. Dusty. And a little rusty. Modest Karandashov jumped out of the Toyota. The face is sweaty. And extremely worried. Seeing us. Ran. Something happened. Andreyka Bakov muttered syllable by syllable. Modest. Running up. Pointed to the door and breathing quickly. Said. Inside. The news is bad. We entered the house. And I immediately poured some water from the canister into the mug. Modest. Having drained it. Spoke. I was driving to you from Sachsenhausen. Then I crossed the river in a motorboat. And took the car from Farid. And then at full speed to you. Catch your breath. Modest. I asked and sat him down in a chair. A minute later. A minute earlier. The situation is unlikely to change. What happened? They called me from the city of Svetly. And they said it in plain text. So that we don't make any moves. Modest answered. We have to give the green light. Information. As you can see. Already leaked. I see. That leaked. Said the terribly gloomy Bakov quietly. But I don't understand yet. What are you talking about? You didn't know anything. Modest. Who told you? I didn't know anything. Asked Modest. And laughed. Bakov. Well, don't make a fool of yourself. More than 12 hours have passed already. All three villages are aware of the large group leaving the portal. After all, I am now the head of the village. And I'm one of the first to know the news. But it is not me who should worry you. And that's it. What was transmitted from Svetly? And what did they convey? I asked. They said so. That we shouldn't touch the new arrivals. Moreover, we must provide them with assistance. I love it. Whatever we can. And must escort them to the light. They'll decide there. What to do next. The light one does not command himself. Just in case. The feed is coming from Jericho. Everything is clear. I said and smiled. The knot is tied. Still, Silas didn't lie. Having said that their destination is Jericho. What's so special about it? Who will say? Do Palestinians live there? The Palestinians in this world have nothing to do with Jericho. Maxim began to tell. This is the first city of this world. Who founded it? Unknown. But he is quite old. If you visit there, then it will become clear. Why is it called the first? Is Jericho the most ancient city on earth? I asked. And you didn't know? Maxim was surprised. It's impossible to know everything. I answered, I knew that it is ancient. But I didn't know to what extent. Maxim continued. The Jericho of this world is not very old. As earthly. But there are definitely a couple of thousand. That's what they say. My surprise knew no bounds. A couple of thousand. I exclaimed. Bakov clapped his hands. And said menacingly. The history lesson is over. Talk about Jericho later. There are more serious problems. What are we going to do? Gentlemen. Modest. Jumping up from the chair. Exploded. What are we going to do? What to do? Andriusha. Are you out of your mind? You understand. What is Jericho? You understand. That if we disobey, they will simply trample us. You are a fool. Andriusha. Bakov turned to Modest. Grabbed him by the chin. And pushed him sharply into the chair. Hovering over him. Growled. Modest. You're such a bitch. I'm having enough stress here without you. Why the fuck are you yelling? You think that you can come here. Say. And everything will resolve itself. Yes. You tell him that. Bakov straightened up. And pointed at me. What did you manage to do? Modest squealed. And jumped up. What we managed to do. You can't turn that back. I answered calmly. Did they kill someone? Modest asked fearfully. Not only. I answered. And very soon we will kill more. There is no other way out. Modest. Are you or with us? Or not? Don't rush. Nikita. Asked Bakov, angry to the point of horror. He is at the limit. But I don't understand the meaning of his psychosis. Yes. And I don't want to understand anything. Why not hurry? I was surprised. I'll hurry. There are people there. And they need help. Without us they are just meat. Meat sold into slavery. And with our help they can become free. Free again. Another long beep. This time the sound belongs to Sasha's Audi. We're packing up. I said smiling. We can't avoid war anyway. At least. To me personally. Moral convictions will not allow it. Maxim Efimenko caught up with me. As I walked briskly towards the gate. Are you repeating yourself? I chuckled. Yeah. He nodded. You're playing tricks again. And I'm on your side again. I like your moral convictions. If villains are punished cruelly, then you preach an easy death. And if villains take people into slavery, then you are ready to shoot them without thinking. I'm surprised. Why are you still alive? It's just that this kind of ass doesn't happen to me often. I answered, to be more precise. For the first time. Think. That there is a chance to survive. It's not all that bad. Yes. Well, how can I say? Max scratched his chin thoughtfully. And then answered. To put it simply. The problem is so serious. That it couldn't be worse. To butt heads with the Svetly city is to be left with nothing. To butt heads with Jericho is to shoot yourself in the head. They'll trample us. They'll slam it. Like an annoying fly. Is that clear? It's clear. I nodded. I love problems. Life without problems is boring. 3 Humvees. Pashka Kuznetsov said excitedly. Showing 3 fingers. The problem is that 2 with machine guns. And the third one with a gun. How long will it take them to get to us? I asked. About 10 or 12 minutes. Answered Bodrev. No longer. Exactly. I turned to Maxim. What heavy weapons do we have? Just a Shaden trumpet. Well. And machine guns. Large caliber on a Humvee. And united. There are 4 of them. One is installed on Renault Zubar. There is nowhere to install the rest. There is also an RPG-7. Said Pashka. Is it true? There are 3 charges for it. And all cumulative. Cumulative is good. I muttered, but we will use them only in extreme cases. 3 Humvees are not 10. Can. And capture in a soft way. Bakov approached. He stood silently next to me. I poked him in the ribs with my elbow. And said cheerfully. Stop sulking. You'll burst. Go to hell. Nikitos. Bakov snapped and grabbed Bodrov. Dragged him to the side. I went to look for Raisa. We don't have much time. So you should hurry. A sniper was found near the French Hummer Zubar. Sitting on the ground. And assembling a sniper rifle. Even though I'm not a sniper. But I'm interested in weapons. And sniper rifles especially evoke awe in me. Dear ones. Beautiful. And highly precise. I recognized the DXL-3 Revenge rifle immediately. And stood rooted to the spot. I expected anything. But not hers. Lift your jaw. Raisa muttered. Retribution. I almost exclaimed. She is the one. Does anything surprise you? I shook my head slowly. And asked. Caliber. 338 Lapua Magnum. Price. It cost a little over $1 million. I gave a thumbs up. And didn't ask anything else. Rachka surprised me. Surprised beyond belief. I got the role of the driver. Transport. Captured Humvee. Navigator. Maxim Efimenko. Machine gunner. Sasha Bodrov. The first to leave the camp territory. We set off on an adventure. Bakov took Raisa to the top of the highest hill. From which she will provide us with support with accurate shots. 4 fighters are too few for 3 Humvees. Armed with machine guns. And a cannon. Think. That we can handle it. If we can't handle it. The rest will help. I'm in position. Raisa reported. I'm making sighting shots. A minute. And I'll be ready. I'm going back to camp. Bakov reported. Let's go. And we don't see anything yet. Said Maxim. And added affectionately. Raisa. I believe in you. Take your time. I believe in you too. She responded just as affectionately. You. The main thing. Be more careful. I will help. I'll help you out very well. Our task is simple. Like 3 kopecks. We show ourselves to the enemy. And we're trying to get away. Without being snarled by machine gun fire. We'll start shooting. And shoot back. We try not to expose ourselves. And lure the enemy into a precise shot from Raisa. For now we are going on a safari in the hills. Zubar. And his guys should give a solid hook. And drive the enemy into encirclement. Conditionally. Certainly. All hope is on Raisa. And her accuracy. Well. And on Pashka Kuznetsov. Scurrying around the bushes in the company of Iluka Osipov. It will become difficult. And we'll use grenade launchers. 3 minutes passed. And Maxim called. Raisa. Do you see us? I see. And good enough. She answered. Climb to the higher ground. And drive along the hill. You will understand everything soon. The camp remained 1.5 kilometers away. We passed through large hills. And now we are crossing small hills. And tubercles. Trying to huddle close to the bushes. The road was deliberately left to the right. So that if anything happens, I can look at it from a height. I see them. Bodrov shouted into the hatch. On the right. V. Nizan. 500 meters. They drive slowly. They don't notice us. I stopped the Humvee. And looked in the given direction. Maxim pointed his finger. And said. There they are crawling. Machine guns. And the gun sticks out. I saw. 3 Humvees are driving too slowly along the beaten path we blazed along a heavily bush-covered section of a low hill. You can start firing at them with a machine gun right now. But it's too early. The distance decreased to 400 meters. 3 Humvees drove through the bushes. And trudged through the tall grass. Still sticking to the same road. Which we have trampled. I pressed the gas pedal slightly. And slowly drove towards them. They didn't notice us for about 10 seconds. And then Bodrov squealed. The second machine gun turned around. Trample. The Humvee accelerates slowly. The machine gun fired a short burst. Didn't hit the target. He took about 20 meters ahead. He didn't have time to shoot a second time. Because we dived into the lowlands. And disappeared from sight. Now the main thing is to get to the next point in time. The game of hide and seek begins. I don't see you. Raisa reported. I see them perfectly well. I can't shoot accurately. Reduce the distance by at least 700 to 800 meters. A moment of respite. 3 Humvees on my tail. But they're not shooting yet. Soon we will have to drive up a small hill. And drive about 100 meters. Before we hide behind a solid hillock. In the kill zone. Bodrov screamed again. I shoot single shots. Bodrov began to shoot back. And I continued to drive towards the treasured shelter. Right in front of us. About 3 meters to the right. A cannon shell struck. There is no need to worry about shrapnel from a 30mm shell. But you should be wary of a direct hit. A direct hit from an armor-piercing shell would put an end to us. They fired at least 10 cannon shots at us. Before we managed to hide behind the hill. Hearing Sani's command. I allowed myself to relax for a while. Lucky. Bodrov climbed back into the salon. And plopped down tiredly into the seat. Face. And my forehead is sweaty. Eyes are scared. I signed up for all sorts of things. He began to say. Breathing heavily. But I won't sign up for this anymore. See the enemy in the sight. And don't shoot, try it yourself. Could have taken apart at least one Humvee. Be patient. And return to the machine gun. Maxim asked calmly. I glanced briefly at Sonya. And smiled. He's pressing his forehead. Bodrov grumbled discontentedly. You should have gotten behind your own machine gun. About 30 seconds of relatively calm driving. And a squealing sound was heard from the hatch again. We're back in range. To hell with you. I shoot at them. The machine gun on the roof buzzed. Sonya fires in long bursts. He doesn't spare his bullets. He hits over the cars. Not allowing the machine gunners to stick their heads out. Raisa reported. That controls the gun. Be bolder. And takes aim. The Humvees in front of him provide cover. I'll send him a gift now. I stepped on the gas. Trying to accelerate the car to the limit. Sometimes we came across such big hummocks. That the car lifted off the ground with its front part first. And then the back. I can't even imagine what Sonya must be feeling. Belts. Hope. They save. Judging by the legs. Stands firm. And I'm used to this kind of thing. I'm deaf. But these are small things. Sonya started shouting. Having stopped shooting. Raisa snapped the black man for the gun. I saw the contents of my head fly. Then the radio woke up. You don't have to be afraid of the guns. Raisa reported calmly. I'm in trouble. Not from the first shot. Truth. I'm trying to get the machine gunners. I expected anything. But that 3 Humvees would stop. I definitely didn't expect that. Reducing the speed to a minimum. They began to turn around. Bodrov continued to fire from the machine gun. They're trying to get rid of me. Raisa said fearfully. Turn around. And behind them. I see Zubar. He's driving straight towards them. The distance is about 700 meters. We're taking a risk. Boys. I hit the brakes. Slowed down. Turned the steering wheel all the way. And began to turn the armored car around. The turning radius leaves much to be desired. Everything has changed. Now 3 Humvees are game. And we are hunters. So. By the way. Simpler. The distance is about 300 meters. Bodrov started shooting again. The last one to flee is the Humvee with the machine gun. It's noticeably lagging behind. And meanders. Sonya tries to shoot higher, preventing the machine gunner from returning fire. The machine gun is almost empty. He shouted. And stopped shooting. The machine gunner reacted as he should to the ceasefire. And showed his black head. Didn't have time to shoot. Because he died. Raisa made a great shot. Bodrov's maliciously satisfied laughter was heard from the hatch. This smells like a nervous breakdown. 3 Humvees, as if on cue, rushed to the right with the aim of storming a rather steep hill. They spotted the Zubar. And were clearly scared. Raisa reported. Don't shoot yet. 3 Humvees didn't make it to the top of the hill. Bodrova's Audi jumped out onto the pass from the other side. Stopped abruptly. And Kuznetsov and Osipov climbed out of it. The first one has a Shaden trumpet in his hands. The second one with RPG. The Humvee slammed on the brakes. I'm in an Audi, said Bakov. I see them. Osipov. And Kuznetsov will shoot at the slightest danger. We see you, answered Maxim Efimenko. And gave me a thumbs up. I keep driving. But without the same enthusiasm. Slowly. And leisurely. I'm close. Zubar spoke for the first time. I see Audi. There is no enemy yet. I see everyone. Raisa said with a note of relief. The enemy decided to surrender. I didn't drive up close to the 3 Humvees. I didn't make it about 50 meters. And stopped. From the opposite side, an angry Renault Zubar emerged from the lowland. And stopped at a little over 100 meters. Kuznetsov and Osipov are standing on the hill. And with satisfied faces they continue to aim at the enemy transport. Zubar spoke through the loudspeaker in English. I advise you to leave the cars. The slightest aggression. And we will destroy you. 10 seconds to think. Go out unarmed. And with hands raised high. 4 captured Humvees. And 4 killed, is that not enough for you? Modest asked, almost crying. And the prisoners? 8 prisoners. They will grind us into dust. How come you don't understand this? We understand. Answered Bakov. We understand everything. Modest. But what's done can't be undone. Do you understand this? I'm so tired of listening to Modest Karandashov's whining. I'm so fed up with this. I went outside. And sat down on the bench next to Maxim Efimenko. Still whining. He asked. Blowing smoke. Or have you calmed down? Whining. Certainly. I answered, he keeps talking about Jericho. And about that. That we are doomed. It's not that bad. How could it be? Maxim said thoughtfully. I completely agree with this. Everything is very good. All. Who was in the 3 Humvees? Surrendered to us without any tricks. There were 9 of them in total. 3 people per car. Raisa laid 2 to rest. There are 7 left. 3 blacks. 2 Brazilians. And 2 white ones. White. By the way. Not from the prisoners. Those same Dolph's mercenaries. They were the ones who decided to surrender. Understanding. That further fighting will only make the situation worse. Fine. Why didn't they go for the machine guns? The guys look serious. They didn't interrogate anyone. They just tied them up. And sent to rest. What are we going to do next? Asked Maxim. I shrugged. Don't know. We have several options at once. The first is to wait until night. If further reinforcements don't arrive during this time, then you can make a sortie. If help does arrive, then fight back. The second option is negotiations. We are going to meet them. And we talk to the main one. We have 2 of his mercenaries. And that's already a lot. He hardly values prisoners. We need to discuss it with the others, said Maxim, and extinguished the cigarette butt on the sole of his shoe. Let's wait, while Bakov calms Modest down. And then we'll announce the meeting. Let's wait. I agreed and relaxed. I haven't eaten a single gram since yesterday evening. I only drank water. And tea. We need to come up with something. My head is already starting to hurt from hunger. Bulet Musin has arrived. And Denis Nugumanov. Discussing something cheerfully. We ate some meat. Bulet boasted. As if he had read my thoughts. Baramuk steak. There's still some left. If you want. What kind of baramuk? I asked. This is a local ram. Denis answered. It's the size of a calf. Omnivorous. Just in case. While you were there, organizing a rodeo in the hills. We took a stroll around the area. And got some fresh meat. Fried in the workshop. There is a horn there. And it's just the thing instead of a barbecue. If you are hungry. Then you are welcome. Went. Maxim stood up. And with a brisk step headed towards the workshop. At least the meat isn't smelly. I asked. Bulet showed a thumbs up. Denis answered. It tastes like beaver. This young man was. And the meat just melts in your mouth. Go and have lunch. Nikita. I looked at my watch. It's a bit late for lunch. Afternoon snack. To be more precise. Thanking Bulet. And Denis for a successful hunt. I went to catch up with Maxim. It's impossible to even eat in the workshop. It is impossible to be there. The same forge was used to fry steaks. Fried on charcoal. The hood dealt with most of the smoke. But the workshop still got hot. Better outside. Leaving the workshop to air out. We quickly built a table. Served it as best they could. And started eating steaks. Which Bulet and Denis fried a huge plate of. I was hungry and the meat seemed divinely delicious to me. Not 5 minutes have passed. And Sasha Bodrev joined us. Grabbing a piece of meat. Began to absorb it. Not forgetting to grumble at Maxim. Me that means. I've been hanging around here for almost a day now. And never having eaten. And you. I wish they'd at least called me. Bastards. And. My bun hasn't healed yet. And. Everything annoys me. There's no one to even punch in the face. At least let off some steam. I smiled. And said. Sonia. Don't grumble. Just eat. And enjoy. I'm talking about you, honestly. Forgot. The whole problem is that there is no order. Disciplines. I haven't started grumbling yet. Bodrev shook his head. Dash. And this. You speak louder. My ears still don't hear well. I agree about discipline. Maxim sighed tiredly. And took on the next steak. We need to improve our discipline. While we were eating. 2 guys from Zubar's squad came to the workshop. And continued to fry the meat. You can't cut steaks from the carcass of a killed baramuk anymore. The ribs came into play. And everything else. Very soon there will be nothing left of the poor animal. Bakov has arrived. When the steaks were almost all eaten. Sitting down tiredly next to me. He pulled the plate towards himself. And said. These 2 steaks are mine. You decide to take it away. I'll punch you in the face. Yes, eat. Who doesn't give it to you? Said Maxim. Let me punch you in the face myself. Suggested a cheerful Bodrev. I've been wanting to punch someone in the face for a long time now. All in all. I talked to Modest. And was able to calm him down. Bakov began to tell. Slowly chewing the steak. And ignoring Sasha Bodrev. I never thought so. That he is such a coward. After all, power changes. I'm afraid too. But not to that extent. What's the point of panicking ahead of time? Why are you asking us? Bodrev was surprised. We. Unlike you. Here since yesterday. Nikita. And Raisa are generally handsome. Enemy transport captured. And without losses. I don't see any point in being afraid. If someone says that ignorance is no excuse, then he'll get it in the neck. We are here. And Jericho is 9,000 kilometers away from us. It's a bit far. Don't you think? What do I care about your Jericho? Sasha, frowning, asked Bakov. Light, that's the problem. We may be deprived of everything. Electricity will be cut off to villages. And count. We are nobody. And there is also trade. The population will simply trample us. Forgot. How were Pan's people recently executed? They will do the same to us. They will find reasons. Rest assured. We're not tired of one thing. And discuss the same thing over and over again. I asked. Bakov gave me a displeased look. But remained silent. Andreyik. I was thinking about it. Maxim began. Think about it, speak up. Bakov muttered. Maxim nodded. And continued. All in all, the situation is as follows. This entire newly arrived column was sent into this world by the bright future. And there is no doubt about it. We also have no doubt that the place of arrival of the column is the city of Jericho. They are waiting for the equipment for their own army. And the girls and children for trade. Everyone knows that the slave trade in this world is at its peak. Everyone knows about the slave trade. Agreed Bodrev. I shook my head. I don't know much about her. Don't forget that I am a newcomer. Let's not forget. Maxim nodded. And continued. The column must arrive in Jericho. But she hasn't even moved there yet. Answers. Why didn't you come forward? 2. The first one is unknown to them. Which way to go? The second is that we appeared. And began to drink their blood. And quite actively at that. The column suffers losses. As personnel. So. And technology. Oh well. That's not the point. That's the whole point. That the information leaked out too quickly. And in Jericho the location of the column's exit is already known. Jericho asked us to obey. But we decided to do things our own way. Based on moral convictions. So to speak. Well. And what next? Bakov couldn't stand it. And then this. Maxim gestured to show the noose tightening around his neck. As soon as in Svetli. And then in Jericho they find out about it. What we did. They will declare a hunt for us. There is a small army in Svetli. And she will come for our souls. When is a matter of time. The noose is tightening. Friends. And for this reason you said so many unnecessary words. I was surprised, Max. It would have been possible to lay everything out very briefly. I'm laying it out. We're screwed. Time is limited. We need to finish off the column's security as quickly as possible. And create your own army. Is this what you're getting at? Maxim nodded. Almost. Make some adjustments. And it will turn out almost the same. Bakov frowned. Are you suggesting an attack? We won't be able to take it out. Bodrev immediately answered. We'll take it out. If we do everything correctly. I disagreed. First. What are we going to do now? Let's go to negotiate with the boss. Think. He is not a fool. And decides to come to an agreement. Get off with a minimum of bloodshed. Let's come to an agreement. And then we'll strike. Mean. But there is no other way. I don't like meanness. Sasha Bodrev muttered angrily. I'm not thrilled with her either. I said, but we're not in the ring. San. This is war. And war is always full of meanness. Who will go to the negotiations? Bakov asked menacingly. Just don't tell me. What you? Nikita. Max started to smile. He is not the only one. Andreyik. I'll go with him. It's calmer this way.